Welcome back to the Box2Box podcast. This is episode 57, and today we're going to be reviewing the Champions League semi-finals. The final is set. It's going to be PSG versus Inter.
And another entertaining week in the Premier League. The top four race is starting to heat up.
And Xabi Alonso joining Real Madrid. Where does that leave them for next season?
All that and more on the Box2Box podcast.
Let's go.
You ain't going home,
Your
bro.
Honor, I'm sorry. Your Honor, I'm sorry.
Ours are on the pitch, and Bangula starts. Our next and Bangula, bro.
Game tomorrow, would you rather Saliba or Mbappe?
Right? Saliba right now.
You wouldn't.
Saliba right now.
You're sacrificing face when you lie. That's
Saliba right now.
Welcome back, everyone. Today, we've just confirmed that it's the 1-year anniversary of the Box2Box podcast channel.
The channel, though, not the actual
Yeah, not the
podcast, because if you've been following since day one, you would know we posted 2 on our main channel just to show our main channel viewers that it's there if you want it.
To get it started.
Yeah, and then we started our podcast channel. And wow, a year flies by. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, flew, man.
Can't believe it. 57 episodes,
Yeah.
couple of midweeks in there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a good year, I would say, because we even had the Euros. There's a lot of content in the podcast channel, and I think we grew quite exponentially.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy. I don't know if you guys, but like going on Spotify, just clicking on for us, it's written soccer, and you see like your podcast there. So it's kind of like a surreal experience that the podcast has kind of grown into this. And I think podcasts are more of a North American thing. So I don't know if the EU people like follow podcasts as much, but like I always listen to podcasts.
I don't know. I feel like if you go on Spotify and you look at our demographics, there's a lot of Swedish, UK.
Yes, but it's compared to, let's say, our YouTube viewers, much larger percentage of Americans on
Yes.
the podcast. And it's like if our whole YouTube audience followed us from our main channel to our podcast channel, that are Americans, but not the whole EU, like let's say every other continent followed us as much as the Americans.
Yeah. Well, yeah. The US, I feel like the US audience follows us a lot, like through the channels. But I wonder if we have a very distinct follower base between our podcast and our main. Like, is there viewers that just watch the podcast?
Exclusively the podcast.
You know what I mean?
I'm sure there are because, I mean, personally, it sometimes it's difficult to consume different medias. Like, usually if you're traveling a lot, if you're driving a lot, then you're gonna consume a lot more podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I'm 57 episodes in, and every week it flies by. It's pretty crazy. We only do this once a week, really. But if there's like an emergency podcast, we try to get it going. But everyone's been on the journey, man. So
Well, there's only been one emergency podcast, no? It was for
Ballon
Roger
d'Or.
winning the Ballon d'Or.
and then Ten Hag sacked on the same day. So
But even for the Euros, I think we did some midweek uploads.
Yes, but that was planned. Like,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
wasn't an emergency. So for that, we'll see. Maybe this summer Club World Cup, if it delivers to be the tournament that they're saying it's going to be.
I mean, they're propping it up to be a big thing, and even the clubs too. They're getting ready for Club World Cup. They could sign new players like earlier. So yeah, it should be very entertaining.
And also, as you guys could probably see, Pala's not here. He's on vacation in Italy. Got to witness the Lazio-Juventus game.
I feel bad for him.
Successful hate watch for us.
Yeah.
That was very successful. The comfort of my own home.
Yeah.
Was able to hate watch. So, but he did say that Olympico was a great vibe.
I'm sure
Great
you got to
atmosphere.
witness a very good atmosphere, at least.
Yeah,
By the Lazio
Ultras.
fans. Yeah.
Lazio Ultras are very animated.
Yeah,
It's
very.
just so depressing seeing, like, from a TV perspective. I don't say, oh, I want to be there so bad, because this is just this is like an Italian league thing. In England, every single game is sold out. There's not an empty seat in the stadium.
Even in Italy, almost every
No.
game is sold out.
No.
Yeah,
Yes.
but
Bro,
Olympico is tough because it's a 60,000 person
But
stadium.
that's why Roma and Lazio, both Roman teams, they need to move into a smaller stadium.
Roma specifically are able to sell out the Olimpico because it's a city, and
But not every game is sold out.
Yes, because there's games that maybe warrant more than others, but
you see, if let's say Brentford play Leicester, that game is sold out.
how many?
Yeah, but
how
you're
many
looking
seats
at
are
the
in
seats. Yeah, it's not as much as the Olimpico.
Yeah, sure, but because Roma and Lazio don't demand that fan base that the Olimpico has in there.
It
They don't
depends.
demand 60,000 fans. There's not 60,000.
How many
people
is
who show up
at
every
the
week.
Brentford Stadium? I
Probably
don't.
20,000,
There you go.
25,000. Yeah, but Roma and Lazio, if they downscale to 40,000, it would create a much better match environment for the fans.
Well, yeah, it's more like listen, at the end of the day, they're playing in an Olympic stadium.
Yeah.
And I do think that makes a difference because the fans aren't as close. And people actually prefer in those stadiums with the court around, like the ring around, they prefer to sit higher up because the seating, like the view that you get, like if you're sitting right in the front row in those stadiums, it's very, very poor.
That is true.
So a lot more people like to sit a bit higher up to watch the game better. But I do agree that on television, when you only see the first ring, it doesn't look as appealing. But when you're there in person, it's
insane.
It's an amazing stadium.
Yeah.
A gorgeous
I mean,
stadium.
like, I've been there. It's
Yeah.
not like the issue is that, and this is obviously a 1 in a million. It's like you're talking about the best of the best, but like you go to a Real Madrid game at the new Bernabeu, and I know you can't compare because that's like a state of the art.
It's a new stadium.
But the feeling there was that Real Madrid played Athletic Bilbao. It's like you were stepping into like the mecca of football, and you were like the game was so hyped up, even though it was just a regular Real Madrid versus Athletic Bilbao game. You were so excited because of how the stadium made you feel and how close you are to the match and stuff like that. Meanwhile, I went to the Olimpico. I watched Lazio Juve, literally the game
That
that
is
Paolo
crazy.
went to watch.
What was your result?
It was, I believe it was a draw as well, or a Juve win 1-0. I don't remember exactly what it was, but the fact that I don't even remember makes me like.
Yeah, but bro,
It was obviously a nice, but if I'm not a football diehard, I wouldn't tell someone you need to go to a game in Rome. Like I would never.
Oh, I would definitely do that.
No, but like let's say someone who doesn't follow, like let's say a hockey fan friend of ours, let's say he goes to Rome, I would not tell him
Definitely.
you need to go to a game.
Definitely, I would.
No, but it's a completely. If he goes to Madrid, I'm telling him, bro, you need to go watch a Real Madrid game. If you go to Rome, it's not you need to go watch. If someone ends up in Dortmund, I'm gonna tell them you need to go watch a
Exactly.
Dortmund game.
Yeah, but I'm not-
It's not the feeling I get for Italian teams. Maybe you get that for Juve and the Milan teams, but every other team, you don't have that feeling of you need to go watch. that
I'd
game.
argue.
That's crazy.
I'd
No.
argue Roma has probably the best feeling in all of Italy.
No.
Of what you're viewing. You could argue that the infrastructure is not that good because obviously the stadium is not made to play football. Like it's an Olympic stadium. You
Yes.
know what I mean? So obviously you could say, it's not a nice viewing because there's the track around it or the
It's not
seats are
sold
dirty.
out. It's not
It's
sold out.
full,
You need
though.
no, it's not. But okay, if I can see empty seats, that means that
Okay, but-
it's
but
not,
if
You
they
also
move
went to
them all
watch
down.
Lazio. Lazio is different from Roma.
okay.
Yes.
Sure. Even if that's true, like
It is
it is true, but okay, your Romas are not selling out every 60,000 every single
They
game.
mainly
Like go to
every
maybe
game.
not
PSG,
selling
go to
out, but it's
PSG,
quite full.
PSG Parc des Princes, it's sold out every single game. You go to Paris, I tell you, you need to go watch a
Well,
Paris
yes,
game.
that's what happens when a team has 2 losses in a season and they're in a CL
That's
final.
even worse. You know PSG is gonna win on the weekend. At least Roma, you get to watch a close game, or Lazio, you get to watch a close game. And it's not like PSG they have good players. It's not like they have an Mbappe anymore. Like that makes you you need to go watch Mbappe.
Yeah, but I don't know. In Rome, it's like every time you go to let's say like Rome in Italy, maybe there's a bias because
We are Italian, yeah.
But it's like the first thing I'm doing is okay, like where if there's a game, I would want.
You are Italian and a
Yes,
football.
and-
You
and I
aren't.
just
you
stated
aren't-
that I am
No, but you aren't
somewhat biased.
You aren't the people filling in the 60,000. Like
You're
aren't.
talking in a tourist perspective.
Yes, you will go if Roma play fucking Lecce or if Roma play Inter. There's no difference. There obviously is because you're an Inter fan, but for that you just want to go watch a game.
Yes.
For people who, let's say, and Rome is a massive tourist city. For the tourists coming in, it's not on their agenda that they need to go watch a Rome game.
Because there's a billion other things to do in Rome. It's
But
not like
why
it's the
isn't
only thing.
Rome? But when you go to audio listeners might have just
sorry.
gotten a piece of Ferms' shoulder. But the difference is that Paris is a massive tourist city, and when you go to those games, it's a lot of tourists at that game. That's a can't miss experience compared to Rome.
Every time I've
doubt
been
that.
to the Roma Stadium, I've had tourists next to me. Every time. I've heard English speakers.
Because yes, I agree that there are some there.
There's a
but
lot.
It should be sold out every weekend.
It is quite full. I'm not saying sold out because the stadium is huge.
But when
But
Roma was competing for Scudetti,
Yes.
like maybe 10 years ago or so, and even that CL semifinal team, that era of Rome, that it was selling out every week.
The issue is that we live in a social media era, and if an event is not sold out, people view it as like a dead event.
But the thing is that
yes,
if
bro,
they
that's,
wanted to,
you can't tell me that's not true.
but if they wanted to, they just, let's say they decide that the 3/4 of the top rings are not for sale. Everyone has to be
it's
pushed down.
empty seats.
But on television, it doesn't look.
It doesn't
like
matter
empty
about
seats.
it's not about
Yeah, no,
television.
first you tell me that on
but
TV it
if
looks
I show
empty.
up in person
Bro,
and I see two fucking massive rings just completely empty, I'm be like, oh, they weren't able to sell.
I'm
those
really
seats.
curious on the stats because the way you make it sound like there's no one at the stadium.
Makes it
No.
sound like there's 15,000 people at a Roma game.
It's search them up because Roma has been packed this year.
Roma's like 3rd or 4th, I think, in attendance in Italy.
Always, they could be fucking last in the league. They'll still have the attendance up there.
Yes,
it's
I
just,
agree.
That's the aura of the club.
But
Because they have a 60,000 seat stadium. Obviously, their attendance is gonna be bigger than, let's say, a fucking Napoli, whose stadium's a lot smaller.
it's actually quite
Napoli
big
is
too.
actually is the 3rd largest stadium in Italy.
Yeah.
behind
So
the
then,
San Siro and
what's like
Olimpico.
Atalanta? Obviously, they're gonna have a bigger attendance than Atalanta because Atalanta Stadium's a fucking small ass stadium.
what
Well,
is
yeah,
your-
because
But Atalanta is probably a better match experience than Roma because their stadium's sold out.
I mean,
No.
match experience. I wouldn't tell a tourist to go to Bergamo specifically.
No.
Specifically for
But
Atalanta.
if you're in Bergamo, I would tell them one of the main things to do.
I'd like to know why you're in Bergamo. I'd really like
Yeah.
to know.
Why?
Because there's really nothing there.
There's nothing
bro,
to do
like
there.
Como's right there.
Okay, Como, you're in Milan. Like you're
Stretching it.
yeah, that's crazy. But Olimpico is the 3rd largest stadium in Italy. So let that
Yeah,
or 2nd largest. Sorry, Olimpico's 2nd largest. Maradona's 3rd largest. So
and San Siro's the largest.
San Siro's the largest. So to say that like they don't sell out, that's a problem. Okay, that's one thing. That's one side of the coin.
Yeah,
But the fact that they do bring in 45, 50, 55,000 people shows that there is a demand for these games.
On average, 12% of the stadium's empty.
okay. How much?
That's 1 out of every 10 seats. That's a lot. There's 62,000 average. That's a lot of people.
That's a
But
lot of fucking
every
people.
single Prem club, it's 100%. So the match,
Yeah, but 100% of 20,000.
Sure, but the 20,000 will feel like a lot better match experience for the 20,000 showing up than the 62,000 with.
That's crazy,
It's not crazy.
bro. You have 60,000 people around
It doesn't
you.
matter.
There's
bro.
just more
I
people
go
means-
to a Montreal Canadiens game that's 23,000.
Yeah,
it
because
was
the
a
rink
better
is this
match
small.
experience. It was a better match experience than going to Lazio, and it was
You've
probably
lost it.
was probably double the amount of people.
You don't believe that?
I do believe that. It was not even close to Real Madrid match experience.
Two different-
but it was
two different sports,
But it was
two different
much
environments.
better. The tension that I felt as a viewer there was much better for a Montreal Canadiens game, and I
Montreal
felt a lot
Canadiens.
more immersed in
Yeah,
the match.
it's not CF Montreal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I
Montreal
thought you said
Canadiens.
CF Montreal
No,
as in.
no.
Okay, but Montreal Canadiens, it's hockey. It's different. Like
It's not
Yes, it is.
different
The-
because
the
Real
rink-
Madrid.
The
you go
rink
to-
is like a 20th of a soccer field.
Yeah.
And then the seats are literally
that
by
means
the
nothing.
rink. Of course, it means
no,
something.
because you have a skewed experience because you've only been to
what?
Stadio Olimpico, you've only been to San Siro, you've only been to these big stadiums where you're so far from the pitch. Go to a Real Madrid game and you realize that these match
I'll
experiences.
put it on my itinerary. Don't worry. No problem.
You
I'll go to a Real
realize
Madrid
that
game.
these match experiences
Yes.
are so worsened by the fact that you're far from the pitch. You feel disconnected
Well,
from the match.
I did not feel disconnected when I went to San Siro. That is for
You're
sure.
a fan. You're a fan
That
of the
is for
club. That's
sure.
different. I could go watch Manchester United to play fucking LA Galaxy in a preseason match, and I'd be rooting for them.
No, that's a lie. That's a lie. But
not a.
yeah, you'll
that
be
is a-
rooting for them.
You're trying to
But
tell me. You're trying to tell me.
No, you rooting them. I'm not arguing that. But the atmosphere, this is something that Italian
You went on a
teams-
CL semis also, which no matter where you are, that's going to be a banger of a match.
Of course.
But go
And
against
that was the
Inter
greatest
versus,
atmosphere I've ever seen in my
Go
life.
against Inter versus Lecce.
I went
You've
to Inter
only
versus
been.
I went to Inter versus Sassuolo. We won 4-2. That stadium had 75,000 people watching that game before CL match. Brother, please do not tell me.
You've only been. This isn't to slight you. You've only been to like 3 matches, no?
Oh,
What is
What
that?
the fuck does
The
that
best
have to do with
atmosphere.
anything?
Why do you
You're
have to
comparing-
discredit the
he's got-
atmosphere?
no,
Every
but
single person that I spoke to
he's
said
going-
that was the greatest atmosphere they've seen at
He's
Inter
going
ever.
from Inter CL semifinal was the best atmosphere I've ever been to. You're comparing it to Inter versus Sassuolo and like Roma versus Bologna, or what the fuck did you guys go watch? Lazio versus Bologna.
Yeah, but that's why
You
discredit.
can't. It's not comparable.
To what? What am I supposed to?
You have
Brentford?
nothing to compare it to.
To Brentford. I went to CF Montreal games. I went to Habs games. Every team that you've mentioned,
I
I've
agree.
seen.
A CL semi is better than a Montreal Canadiens game. We're not debating that. It is obviously the best game you've ever been to. Like,
Okay,
you
but
can't-
then at his defense, you have not been to a Roma game. You've been
but
to a
I've been
Lazio
to a
game.
Real Madrid game.
You've been to a Real Madrid game,
Yes.
but how do you compare that? Because you haven't seen the rest.
It's been a lot better than every single match experience I've been to.
Have you seen
But-
Have you seen an English game?
Have you seen a San Siro?
I haven't seen an English game.
But I'm sure from what television shows me, I'm sure going to a Liverpool.
Me too, I watch television, man.
A Liverpool game looks a lot better than a Milan game or an Inter game. It looks a lot better
atmosphere
in
or
match
quality?
atmosphere, match both
From television.
match atmosphere and quality.
But that's what I'm saying.
Quality, sure, I'll give it. Obviously, Liverpool's a better
Bro,
team.
forget
but
the quality. Fuck the quality for a second. Because
atmosphere. I need to go watch a Liverpool game live, but I would say no. From what I've seen in San
Bro,
Siro,
that's
what I
crazy.
see on television,
that's crazy.
No.
I don't think.
That's absolutely insane, to
No.
be honest. But that's okay.
No, I really don't think so, bro. That's what I'm saying. Now you're talking about television again. So then that's why I'm saying, okay, then push the fans frontwards. Keep them
I'm saying
in the front.
Roma's
So
match atmosphere would be much if they average 62,000 attendance and 70. They should make it 55,000. Packed every single game. You might miss out on a bit of money from ticket sales, but the match atmosphere will be. You could honestly, as a fan, you could, if you make it 55,000, but it's packed every game, surcharge me the ticket.
So wait,
I don't care.
Your logic is, if it's 50,000 but it's 100% sold out, it's a better atmosphere than 70,000 but 12%.
60,000, but 70,000 capacity. Yes. It's a better
Why-
atmosphere.
You have
As
more
a fan,
people.
as a
Automatically,
fan,
it'll be
if,
more.
As a fan, if you see empty seats, it makes it feel like a much less important game. Facts. That's just the. That's
it
just
depends
fact.
to the extent.
Yeah.
But okay.
If one out of every
I'm not
7
debating that.
seats that you see is empty,
But
But
also,
you're not counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Yeah.
6, 7. It's
but
it's
it
fully,
makes
it's
it
fully-
feel less important. If there's empty seats in a stadium, it makes it feel just like a regular match.
every time I've been, I didn't see empty seats. I don't know.
You're telling me Lazio Bologna there weren't empty seats,
Lazio Bologna, yes, but that's not a big game.
bro. But once again, if you go to the Premier League, Brentford versus fucking Leicester, there's no empty seats.
Because it's
But that's a 20,000. You just said it, 25,000.
But that's a much better
stadium.
atmosphere than 50,000 at Lazio. We've gone so off the topic. Anyways, it was also Mother's Day this weekend, so
Yeah.
shout out to all the mothers out
that's
there.
why it's coming out a little.
None of them are
little late.
watching, but maybe
shout out.
ours are. So
Hey, listen,
we love you guys.
My mom was at a Lazio Roma game, so she
But you
enjoyed
see,
that.
that's a banger.
She could
That's a
attest.
banger.
But you see that I can attest.
60,000 people, full stadium.
That's a banger. I agree.
We-
70,000.
70,000?
Yeah, the capacity is 70,000. I keep telling you.
Crazy.
But that's probably an insane match atmosphere because there's stakes to it.
Yeah.
Compared to a Lazio Bologna,
There's no
both
stake.
fan bases
Yeah,
don't
obviously.
care. But like, compare that to an English Premier League game. Fans are chanting all the time.
So is
it's
in
full
Italy.
capacity stadium.
Italy
Like,
chants more than England, but
a regular match in England is much better than a regular match in Italy. Not even
That is
close.
such a hot take.
It's
That
not
is
a hot
extremely
take.
Hot take.
But I think that's time to go to the Champions League. And
Yeah,
there
'cause
was
those
two
were
bangers.
atmospheres.
Those were atmospheres.
Yes. But
Those
I
were
mean, CL
atmospheres.
semi, you can't have a bad atmosphere. It seemed like Arsenal maybe a bit, but like,
Yeah, Arsenal's tifo.
Yeah.
I think we already talked about
But
that.
that
but
was,
maybe
that
we
was the
could-
first game. The second game, Parc des Princes showed up. True.
Yeah.
Parc des Princes definitely showed
you
up.
want to start with Arsenal PSG or Inter Barca?
We could do it in order. Like it's not really an issue. But like first game was Inter Barca.
What a movie.
That was
The best
game I've ever seen.
The
in my life.
best CL tie I've ever watched.
The best semifinal, Celta?
No, the best tie I've ever watched. I can't
There's
cap.
got to be some.
But
Can you name
to
me one
these
off the top of
stakes-
your head?
No.
Maybe
People were saying-
Liverpool corner taking quickly.
But people were saying
Talking about Champions League semifinals or just Champions League games?
Champions League tie, like the both legs.
they were saying City
Okay.
Real A few
This
years
was
ago, it
better.
was 4-3, and then Real Madrid remontada.
Yeah,
This
that
was
a
better
good
in
one.
my personal
No,
opinion.
no,
Because it
this
was
is
back
better.
and forth. Like, it was like, oh, Inter are going to go through, Barca are going to go through, Inter are going to go through, Barca are going to go through.
Like down to the yes, Real Madrid went down to the last minute too, but this went into extra time, and then
Yeah.
I personally, this was the best Inter game. Well, two games, but this is the best Inter game specifically that I've ever watched. I've never had a roller coaster of emotions like that, ever. Like, there were games, yes, maybe in the league where we came back, or I remember there was some Milan derby specifically that like we came back, but nothing topped this. I thought Bayern was a close call. This was even closer.
Yeah.
This was on a different level, and just the will of the players. As soon as the final whistle blew, they all collapsed. Like they literally gave everything
And
they had.
what's crazy, really, is that they try to discredit our players.
Our.
Like, they try to,
our.
like Ferms, we were having this debate on the weekend, bro. Like, he tried to discredit Lautaro Martinez. Like, compare him to Leao. This
just-
bum.
Listen, I'm not. I told Mili, I told every Inter fan, not including Varvar because he's not an Inter fan. I've told that Inter deserved to go through. I've seen Barcelona fans say, "Oh, the referee, they were against us." To be honest, I didn't see anything wrong with it. I thought the ref was quite fair. Maybe there was some calls that went the other way, but that's normal in every Champions League game, I find. And Inter truly showed resilience, and they went through.
Is
Lautaro-
Çalhanoğlu world class?
No, bro. I can't
That's
believe
crazy.
Çalhanoğlu is called world class now. I cannot
But
believe
now
that.
he's been called world class.
That's even worse.
I don't know how that's worse, because you can't tell me that there's a lot of CDMs that are
full.
better than him or
Was
have
good
been
for
better than
Turkey at the Euros also, so it's not even just an Inter
Ooh,
thing.
Turkey that finished fourth?
I don't think they.
Turkey was horrendous, the Euros.
No, they were horrendous the last tournament before that. This
Doesn't
Euros,
matter.
they actually made, I think, the quarterfinals or the round.
I
of
don't
16.
remember specifically, but that was the Guler and Yildiz and Çalhanoğlu show. Captain
Yes.
of Turkey, by the way.
Show. Anyways, there's CDMs that are better than Çalhanoğlu, but I won't discredit Inter. I think Inter played quite well, and to beat Barcelona, it took for Barcelona to lose, it took a generational game from Inter. Let's put it that way.
No, it took
Generational.
generational mismanagement by Hansi Flick, because once again, like I said, this high line, it what makes you amazing, but it will be the death of you at the same time.
Agreed.
Because yes, the high line is when it works, it's so amazing. But there's no reason for you to be playing a high line in the last minutes of a Champions League semifinals when you're up a goal. There's none. When your players are tired.
I rewatched it, and there was the play right before the Acerbi goal where Yamal cut in and shot and got like I think
that.
he hit the post. That was the shot that he hit the post, and Pedri was basically telling him
Slow the plays-
like he was
slow the
telling him
play down.
slow down, go for the flag, go for the corner flag. But then he ended up cutting in. Like, I understand that Yamal, like
It's a good shot.
This guy's generational. Let's just
Que
leave it at that.
jugador.
Que jugador. Like, and I think this game really woke everyone up, like to show the level of how good he truly is, and the fact that this may not even be his ceiling.
But
know.
what's crazy is that I have some friends of mine who aren't even fans of football, and they come up to you and they're like, "Bro, Lamine Yamal is so good."
Yeah, now there's people casuals now.
Like
noticing.
they don't even. One of my friends knows probably five players
ever.
total.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Bro, Lamine Yamal is the best player. He's the best, bro."
There was a lot of eyes on this game, even
Yeah.
from casuals who don't really watch Inter, who don't really watch Barcelona. I feel like it was a good game to watch.
Maybe not even watch football. Some people
Yeah, maybe.
don't even watch football
Maybe.
watching this game because of the amount of hype that it had. So like I'm happy that Inter ended up on the good end of it, the positive end
Yeah.
of that. But what's crazy is that after this tie, even though Inter make it to a CL final, the talk is Lamine Yamal. That I think that's what comes out of
Because
this.
Lamine
did have a
Yamal's bigger than
masterclass.
Inter. I
No.
can't lie.
Well, it's just like it was such a generational performance from him that like people had to. Keep
And he
talking
didn't even
about
have a goal or assist.
He
had
had
an
an
assist?
assist.
No, he didn't.
Nothing?
The
Oh,
no,
second
the
leg, he
second leg
didn't
he
get
didn't
in a
have.
goal or assist.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, but producer T was saying that it was one of the best performances from a winger he's ever seen.
And he didn't even get a goal or assist.
Crazy.
And producer T reveal
coming
for CL
soon, huh?
final.
Soon.
You
CL
heard that,
final.
producer
He's
T?
good. He gave the green light for it too. So
Thank
May
God.
31st, block that date off, producer
Be there.
T.
He did.
Oh, well, yeah, for sure. Inter's playing in the CL final. I would
Motherfucker's
expect.
gonna be front rows.
Yeah.
Front row seats.
Yeah. So yeah, but Inzaghi, I have to give him his credit. He made the necessary changes. He brought on Fratesi. He brought on Zielinski. He brought on players that made the difference at the end. Acerbi, unsung hero.
Yeah. Who decided to just go up
By
at a
himself.
random time and
It's so funny. Casuals catching on to Xabi now. Like, there's bro. I saw Gary Neville. I think I sent it to you guys. That right wing back there for Inter. I think we need him at Manchester United.
Dumfries.
The
Yeah.
Denzel Dumfries gimmick.
Bro.
That's what they're calling it.
Bro, I really can't stress we cannot sign Dumfries.
I think
He's
if
not
Dumfries
good.
joined Man United, he will be like
He's a
severe tax.
specialist. He's a
Yeah.
specialist.
Severe inter tax
It's like
right
it's
there.
like DiMarco. I told Mili like I'm not the biggest DiMarco fan, but best left foot of all time. But
I didn't say best foot of all.
best left foot in the
It's
world.
getting so skewed.
And it was so
That's some
funny.
twist words.
No, listen. What did Millie say? I didn't
best-
say best left foot for goals and assists, and I'm like, yeah, he's the best at tackling with his left foot also.
Like Yamal doesn't exist.
Crazy.
But yeah, Dumfries is the wing backs in Inzaghi's system for me are pure system players.
But those were players that were wing backs before Inter as
Only-
well.
Yes, but I'm
Only
saying
the wing backs.
I think there's a lot more class in the center backs and midfielders than there are in the wing backs. Like I think the wing backs are easily replaceable. I don't know if you can go out and replace a Çalhanoğlu, Barella, a Bastoni. You can't
I
can't
don't think
replace
so.
that.
Depends how much you spend. Bastoni, no. Barella, no.
Like
The
in
rest
my
are
personal
replaceable for
opinion,
me.
if Inter sold Dumfries, let's say for 40 mil this summer,
You're getting a
and
Frimpong.
bought Frimpong for 35,
Yeah.
you significantly upgraded and made money.
Agreed.
It's tough because yes, Frimpong is very very good at his position. He would fit Inter, but Dumfries has been at Inter for 3-4
And bro, they're
seasons.
speaking about Dumfries in the streets of Barcelona like he's
King
King
Von.
Von.
King Von.
One of Satan's greatest soldiers.
Satan's greatest soldier.
There's some people that you are glad that they got.
Yeah,
That type of talk, but I don't know. He's finally getting into that group of top tier wingbacks, and it's taken a while, and he's gotten a lot of hate from Inter fans for at least a year or two right now. But brother, the fact that we brought him in as the Hakimi replacement,
Yeah, but
is
the
crazy.
the issue for me is that you go and you watch Hakimi the next day and you realize the gulf in class. But the goals and assists that Dumfries gets against Barcelona, while he's still a good player.
Yeah, of course.
But the public perception, like I'm sure when we come the end of the season, the people who didn't watch Dumfries for the last 4 years will come out and tell you, bro, he was a top 3 right back in the world this
He was
year.
so good against Barcelona.
Yeah,
Top
like that-
3 right back in the world.
Yeah.
that'll
That's
be
the
the conversation.
conversations.
That'll be the conversation, which I'm not really like for. I've always been harsh on Dumfries because he has costed us points in the past, and he has not given us good appearances. So, yeah, I'm glad that he's showing up at the perfect time. I'm glad all these players are showing up at the right
Summer
time.
2, man of the match. With
Summer, oh my God.
conceding 3 goals, but still getting man of the match because of the goals that he prevented.
Yeah.
The brother was insane,
Yeah,
like insane.
what was a star.
Pepe Marotta, I don't know
Masterclass,
how
unfortunately.
I don't know how this guy, don't take it as a diss. I don't know how he's still at Inter and didn't get like Real Madrid or like,
Real Madrid, yeah,
He's always stayed. He's a club president now.
yes,
so-
but bro, like this guy is the greatest squad builder of our generation.
yes.
yeah,
He is. In any league.
At least in
he's
Italy.
the best squad builder in the world. No, he's in the world.
In the world,
the
I
only
wouldn't
debate,
know-
the only debate I would have is maybe Liverpool's Edwards because bro,
He's built some pretty good teams.
Bro, he built that Liverpool squad from scratch, and that's a ridiculous team. And the second he comes back, they win the Prem again. So like that's definitely one that I'd argue. But Pepe Marotta, bro, how do you do this with such little money? Like it's
No
it's
money.
and
There's no money.
signing players like Acerbi, who like yes, they've made team of the season in Serie A in the past, but like no one really rated like that. And then you sign him for how much did they sign him for?
Free.
For free?
free
No,
or
I think
2
it was
million?
like it was
2
like a
million.
couple
Oh, yeah, you're
million.
right, you're like 2
but,
mil.
But even who cares at that
That's
point?
basically free.
Yeah, us broke motherfuckers. speaking
That's
about-
basically free. Bro.
Keep it changed.
Joe Felix 5 mil alone. That's
I want to
basically
give
free.
it. I tried to be. Here's another 2
Yeah,
on the side. Just
That's
for,
a bonus.
But yeah, the understanding that he has of football and dynamics is crazy. Like has he? what's his hit rate? You think on signings at Inter? Like 90%, 95%?
I would give him like an 80%. I would
No,
say.
I'd argue it's higher.
Well, because
Who has been a miss in the, let's say, like last 3 years?
No one. Aslani.
Tejan Buchanan, I'd say.
That's
But
miss.
Tejan Buchanan, you signed and you sold him for like almost as much as you signed him for. So it's not even a miss.
I know, but it's just like it was wasted opportunity.
But he came as a backup. He left as a backup. Like it's not.
But bro, he wasn't even a good backup. That's the problem.
Maybe Taremi, Arnautovic,
I would say Arnautovic is a big miss, even though
12
like
mil.
that's the problem.
Bro,
We
I'd argue
spent money for-
Arnautovic was not a miss.
No, brother.
It's good squad depth.
We paid 10 to 12 million for this brother, and then we're paying him like 3-4 million a year. Like, but that's a guy that you were expecting to get maybe multiple seasons of like maybe 10 goals to just at least help.
He has 10 goals this season.
Yeah, but last season I think he had maybe 3 or 4. Like he had a
He
very
also
low
didn't
number.
play that much.
Correa.
Correa
Correa,
is
huge.
the biggest.
That's his
miss.
biggest miss, yeah.
They're
Because
definitely-
Correa, I saw the
definitely another
discourse this weekend when Inter was playing
terrible.
Torino.
It's terrible.
They were saying like basically this brother is the only player that joined Inter and just got worse.
Yeah.
Because everyone else, like you look at a Mkhitaryan who at Roma wasn't that good, he joins Inter, becomes insane. You look at Cerbi we were talking about. Everybody else that joined Inter that was falling off became good.
Like we're speaking about his negatives, and we're literally like picking the smallest little
Correa?
negatives.
Yeah.
No,
Marotta.
Marotta signings.
Oh.
If you go and bro, he signed Bastoni, Varela, Thuram, and Çalhanoğlu for less than 100 mil combined.
Pretty much.
Confirmado oficial?
Yes,
It's good.
that's and DiMarco you can even add in there, and it's still less than 100 mil.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you have to buy him back. I'm pretty
That's
sure.
how ridiculous these signings
Dumfries
have
too.
been.
Dumfries, you have to resign.
Yes.
Signed. Pavard, he signed.
Like that's why it begs the question. Like imagine this guy went to a Real Madrid or a Man City or
What could he have
something
done?
and had actual money to spend. This guy also built a Juve team that won Scudetto for 10 years. It took him moving to another team to beat that Juve team.
Yeah.
So
We'll see next year when Inter has
insanity.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah, now this is the first real mercato that we've had since basically his first season when we signed like Lukaku, signed Barella, signed all those players. We spent a bag.
In the summer, well, I mean, you still have a CL final to play, so we shouldn't even be talking about the summer. But like in the summer, what positions you expecting to sign?
I'm expecting at least another striker. I know Jonathan David's getting some Napoli talks
Oh,
now.
yeah.
So apparently he's close
I
to
see Napoli, to be honest, and I see Conte going to a 3-5-2 with him and Lukaku.
I do see him honestly at Napoli because it's a better suited player, and I think he's gonna have more game time at Napoli than at Inter. I don't
And with
think he
Champions
starts.
League 2.
Yeah, I don't
He
think
would be a backup of Lautaro. I think.
Yeah, he'd be a third striker, and I think he's looking for more playing time. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'd look for another midfielder as well.
To replace.
Any
always
names
liked,
come to mind?
I've always liked Samuel Ricci. I don't think he played like particularly great.
With a Milan fan, you want Milan fans in your squad?
Brother, how many Interisti you have? You used to have.
Used to have.
Pioli, by the way.
Yeah.
You're
Bro,
in-
these
look how it
players,
worked.
these players don't have favorite teams.
No, they're
They
professionals.
do, but they're
Like Samuel
professionals.
Ricci, if he joins Inter, give him 1 or 2 months, he's gonna fall in love with Inter and be an Interisti.
Like I think.
I don't know about that, but they're professionals. They'll keep doing their job.
Yeah, they get paid.
Yeah.
They get paid for their work. But yeah, I'd see definitely Samuel Ricci and then a center back. I apparently Inter's looking to keep a Cerbi and De Vrij, which is like a little shaky. That was shaky this season. So I don't know. Maybe one more center back, and then I'd keep Sommer for another season, and then maybe
Why not?
Donnarumma.
In 2026.
2026.
See, that's a big Inter fan if
It
I've ever seen
all
one.
lines up.
How big of a snake is Donnarumma if he joins Inter? Like, is he biggest snake in Milan history potentially?
Possibly. yes.
Maybe.
Bro.
Who's
yes.
who's the comparable? Like, who's
Chala.
the other one? I'd argue
recent history?
Donnarumma disrespected
Would be
even more
bigger.
than Chala.
Donna,
Chala, bro, he's Turkish.
No,
like, he has
Chala,
no affinity for Milan. Like,
Like you're talking about a
I
Primavera
don't
player
know.
since he was
Yeah.
like, since he put on
that
shoes.
said, I would never leave Milan.
I find moving, because it wasn't direct from Milan to Inter. You know what I mean? Donnarumma he went to PSG. He went to a better team for more money. So
And then he goes to Inter.
yeah, which is I don't
Sure.
understand why you would take a pay cut. First of all, doesn't make sense.
But it's not
I
pay
don't know.
cut. It's more like I feel like just European teams have realized we can get multiple like goalies other than Onana. Like goalies are easy to
Replace.
Yes.
I agree.
so
Inter's
they don't need to pay high wages for goalies.
You demand 9 mil. It's a lot.
That's not that much.
But for an
an
Italian
Italian
number one,
club?
For an Italian international '1 goalkeeper, it's not that much.
It's good to bring it back to
And
Italy.
if he's
but
free, you can definitely justify 9 mil.
I don't know, we'll see.
I would say so. And then what? 3, 4, 5 out of the Italian national team starters would be.
Bro,
playing
think
at
about it. If you sign him for 9 mil on a 5-year contract, that's 45 mil, all in included. You're telling me Donnarumma is not worth 45 mil at least?
It's just more like I think he earns like something crazy at PSG. So why not? Like what? They
But
don't
even
want
if
to
you
renew
offer
him?
him 12 mil, that's still a 60 mil package total. Like you're telling me you can't justify
justify.
60 mil for a number
Definitely
one
could.
goalkeeper.
This brother's got another 10 years left.
That's basically like re-signing Onana and giving him a 30 mil contract over 5 years.
It's good.
It's like it's the equivalent. You're better off going Donnarumma and for higher wages. So that's the Beppe Marotta special, bro. The only one he missed on, and I don't even know. I think he might have left by that time, so I'm not even gonna pin it on him completely. But Aaron Ramsey for fucking 400K a week.
Oh, at Juve?
Yeah,
I don't think.
I think he left by that
don't know.
time.
That's
don't think-
Gintoli, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, no. Well, Gintoli.
Totally just joined.
No, because he was the understudy of Marotta. I'm pretty
Seriously?
sure.
No,
I
he
think so.
wasn't.
Yeah, double check. But he was the under. No, sorry, not Gintoli.
It was
what's
the
his
guy
name?
it's the guy at Napoli now.
What's his name?
But it's not
can't
Gintoli,
believe-
yes,
bro.
yes.
I'm
the other guy at
forgetting-
Napoli.
I'm forgetting his name. Not Gintoli. Sorry.
No, I
But he
don't
was
know.
the
his
understudy
Napoli's
of
sporting
Marotta.
director right now.
He was the understudy of
Yeah.
Marotta, and then he became sporting director when Marotta left.
It's a Mana.
No.
Manna?
No, it's not. Anyways, it doesn't really matter.
I
but
think it's Mana, but let me check. Giovanni Mana. Yeah.
I don't think that's
Oh,
him.
yeah, it is.
Tottenham. It was Tottenham's
Paratici?
Paratici.
Oh, yeah, it was Paratici.
Paratici. Sorry,
That's for Ramsey.
Yeah, I think. But
I would fucking arrest that guy if he sold Ramsey if he bought Ramsey for 400K a week
400K.
also. So
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
But yeah,
That's a s-
definitely excited for Inter to be in the Champions League final. That's going to be one of the
and
biggest
Barca,
games.
Barca
they
deserve their
just
flowers.
gave Hansi Flick an extension also.
Yeah.
deserved.
Definitely deserved. I agree. And now that Barca's season's over, I can give them a bit of flowers.
Thank God.
I mean,
We made it.
definitely a good team this season. Definitely one I was afraid of, even though I would never admit it publicly. Definitely a team that I thought could win the Champions League.
Yeah,
I
I think everyone
have an
had them as
argument for
favorites.
being like we always say, oh, the best team always wins the CL and stuff. Like, this is what I mean by league format. If Barcelona played in a league format in CL like the whole year, you could definitely argue they would have won.
They would listen. They ended up second.
Like, let's say
the
instead of CL it was a knockout rounds, it was just 38 games that you play each other and every team plays each other. You could argue Barcelona would have finished first this season.
Yeah.
I could see.
I think so.
First.
So this goes back to the point that the CL winners aren't always the best teams in Europe. But you could also argue PSG. But PSG lost 5 games in CL so far. So
5 games. Who are
yes,
those?
3 in the group
Girona,
stage.
Arsenal.
3 in the group stage. They lost.
they didn't lose to Aston Villa, did they?
Yes, they lost the
They
second
lost
leg
to
to Aston Villa.
Aston Villa.
And they lost the
Did they? And they
second
lost the
leg
first
to
game.
Li-
But they lost the first game versus
They
Liverpool.
lost the second. Yeah, they lost the first game to Liverpool. So they lost 5 games.
Okay.
That's why. Look, obviously I'm an Interista. Like you'll see my predictions, but like those 5 losses, Inter has yet to lose in CL.
I know.
We lost once to Leverkusen, but that was our only loss in the whole 1-0 loss.
95th minute goal.
And
Only real Interistas.
and we've only this. I think this is confirmed, but we only literally were down in the whole Champions League in 1,000-something minutes of Champions League football. We were down for 16 minutes.
Yeah.
Or
It
11
shows resilience.
So Champions League, this team just turns on the switch.
Clicks.
And you
just works.
see teams actually starting to use, I believe that's what they're thinking, starting to use Inter as like a blueprint for the way that they're building their team. Like Xabi Alonso, I think Real Madrid, I think a lot of people have reservations about back threes, but I mean, I see it with Amorim. We'll get to it later because another loss is fucking embarrassing.
Yeah,
we'll get to that later.
I see that
But
topic right there.
I think back threes tactically make by far the most sense.
But
the
we
most dynamic.
I think we
Modern day.
talked about this.
Yes.
You just defend in 5 and you attack in 5.
Yes,
So
like some people are saying sack Amorim. I'm fine with that. I'm not okay with moving away from back 3, though. Like I'm not. Let me just rephrase that. I'm not okay with sacking Amorim. I respect your opinion, but like I think if we just replace him, we're gonna replace him with a guy who plays the same formation, or we should replace him with the guy who plays the same formation.
ideally, because
Yes.
ideally you have like a little progress.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like people say, oh, you should allow Amorim to buy his players. it's not Amarim buying the players, it's the scouting staff and everyone. So it doesn't really matter who's the manager really for a signing.
But I also think, like, obviously you could make a 4-back work. Like, look at Flick. It's just a different style of play. You need to be like, there needs to be a blueprint of an ideology. Like, Flick has his ideology, sticks to it, and it works. It did it.
But for me, I
against
watched
Inter,
Flick in CL this year, and I just said that's naive. Like, he's very naive.
He's too stubborn. He was just way too stubborn. And listen, if you had, let's say, a fully fit squad and you were that confident in your team, then okay, then sure. But the fact that your team is gassed at this point in time, like at that point in the game, it was just no game awareness of like, okay, we kind of have this in the bag. Let's just forget how we play for the next 2.5 minutes. Just hold on to the ball and don't do anything crazy.
And it's not a fluke as to why managers like Sir Alex Ferguson or Ancelotti, like, they're always very successful in Champions League because they understand game state. They understand the mechanics of the game. Meanwhile, a manager like Pep Guardiola, who's had one of the best league teams every single year for the last 15 years, only has 2 CLs to show for it, even though he has some of the best teams of all time, because managers who are, I stick to this, like Arteta, I stick to this philosophy no matter what the game state is. I'll change maybe a bit, but no matter what, I'm going to play this way. Sometimes in games, you need to be malleable and you need to be change
flexible.
Yeah.
I do agree with that, but listen, I don't think Flick lost this game. I think even Araujo had a horrible appearance in the last
atrocious.
15 minutes. The goal was
When
slightly on him.
I've been saying that Araujo is trash. When
He's not.
This is
He's
Oracle
not trash. He's
This is
just
an Oracle
not
moment,
good.
Okay?
Oh my.
Because when everyone was saying, bro, Araujo's top 3 center back in the world.
With Xavi was great.
Quote unquote. Yeah, me too. I could be a good center back in the back 4 in a terrorismo block. Don't worry, bro. Me too. I could do that.
But that's where Araujo should be
But
playing.
anyways, he's fucking ass. Okay, and I've been saying this. We actually had a video back then where I think we asked our patrons. I think it was on Patreon actually, where we asked our patrons to give the values for the players. And Araujo, you said, oh, he's having a bad, but 60 mil. You said.
Okay.
You gave him 60 mil. You know what's 60 million on a center back? I said 0, by the way. So I actually look
0
like
is
the biggest,
stupidity.
I look like the biggest genius, but 60 mil, crazy. Some Barca fans in that video were saying 100 mil too.
The stocks have dropped because he just doesn't fit the Flick system. He looks not confident. Did you see who was it? Luis Enrique? I saw this video on Twitter that Luis Enrique literally was targeting Araujo.
Yes. In modern football, you
yeah.
cannot have center backs who can't pass the ball anymore. It can't be done. And he's mistake prone. Honestly, the only like in modern football, as a center back, maybe I see him a bit, because when he has 5 passing options around him at all times, there's always gonna be someone open. Yes, you're giving him. There's 2 guys next to him at all times,
plus
so if he's a bit more aggressive, like you can kind of like work it out. But I don't know. I don't see him translating to modern football.
It was honestly on those 2 late Inter goals to tie it and then win. Both were his fault because he let Xabi get in front of him. Like
that's horrendous defending.
He let
there.
Xabi get in between him and the ball.
Yeah.
So it was. Listen, I don't think many strikers even make that finish, let alone a Xabi.
Better than Hoyman, bro.
Yeah, better than
would have missed.
let alone a Xabi. But then that Fratesi goal where Thuram, after 107 minutes or 108 minutes of game time, Thuram is absolutely gassed and is injured.
Yeah.
Ends up blowing past him on the byline, able to get around, find the pass to Taremi, and then Fratesi finish.
Crazy.
Brother, those are 2 goals that could have been prevented with just basic defending.
Individual mistakes. That's why I don't
individual
say
mistakes.
this game is not Flick's fault. It just happened to go Inter's way.
And then Araujo blamed Hector Fort at the end.
Yeah, well, his entrance wasn't that good either.
Because Dumfries took him off the ball and said he wasn't paying attention.
Look,
as if he wasn't.
I will never admit it, but it may have been a foul.
Where? For the Dumfries one?
But no, for me, I take that goal. That's a good
Dumfries
goal
one?
for me. But it may have been a foul.
I don't necessarily think it was a full-on foul because it wasn't. There was no intent for Dumfries to take him out. Like
the intent doesn't matter. He did a bit.
Okay, there was a bit of contact.
Who cares, bro? Inigo Martinez spat on Xabi and nothing was done. So I mean,
there was no. I don't know. At that point in
tat.
the game, if you called a foul there, oh my God, that would have sucked. That would have
Yeah.
that was called a foul. I would have thought it was soft. But at the end of the day, Inter somehow outscore the highest scoring team in Europe, basically Barcelona.
Simone Inzaghi, 2 CL finals in 3 years.
Il demone di Piacenza.
Doesn't mean anything if you don't win it, right?
Is he from Vicenza or Piacenza?
Piacenza.
And also his brother getting promoted with Pisa.
Yeah,
Did they win City B or just got promoted?
promoted. Sassuolo won Serie B.
Yeah, that's true. Dominate fashion too.
Yeah,
Follow
I
back.
hate it.
Berardi is back.
No.
I hate it, bro.
Spalletti, are you watching?
Bro, Inzaghi, are you watching? It's like the Grim Reaper on every door.
Orsolini.
Grim Reaper on every door.
But on the other side, we had a very boring
Yes.
game.
It was like 2 ends of the spectrum.
We were dreading
It was
doing
only-
that live stream, bro. We were just happy to watch it with you guys, but like,
Arsenal
man,
PSG.
that was a rough live stream to watch.
But you can tell it wasn't just us. It was also the chatters. Like the chat wasn't like
No one was in it.
Wasn't
Yes.
bumping.
So I didn't see any buzz around it. I didn't see any hype as much besides from Arsenal and PSG fans. It just didn't have the same level of like
we were
aura and
forced to
excitement.
watch. It was like we were forced.
Yeah. I think if that was the first game, it would have been okay, like understandable. But to watch that after Barca Inter, like, and everyone knew it would. not
And
be
what's
top.
crazy to me is
Everyone knew.
how does Arteta come out after that saying like we were the better team?
Oh, I can't believe the stuff that Arteta was saying.
Bro, spewing it.
Like that's a
Spewing.
sackable quote, low key.
Bro, I at no point
Everything
that
he
I
was
think.
saying.
At no point did I think Arsenal were the better team.
No,
in
they
both
definitely put up a
lengths.
fight, but like, bro, come
But the
on.
better team, like
Yes.
definitively.
Yeah.
And they don't
is
understand.
insane.
They don't understand simple things like game state. Like, bro, PSG were up by multiple goals. There's no reason for them to attack. Like maybe if Hansi Flick's managing the other side, then you could argue maybe they like. But like, don't send me XG because I watched the game.
Yeah.
It's like Man United fans tried to send XG stats after West Ham because we out XG'd them. Brother, West Ham were up 2-0. We only got 0.4 XG before West Ham
There's
were up 2-0.
context to all
Yes,
this.
yes. Like obviously when a team is up multiple goals, they're not gonna go out
they
try
change
and
their
score
game
on
plan.
you. Yes.
What do you think Inter did before we choked 2 goals again?
Exactly.
My God, it was the exact same blueprint. But yeah, Arsenal, listen, that first 10, 15 minutes, flurry. Like Donnarumma absolutely saved PSG.
That is true.
On multiple occasions. And Arsenal looked good. They looked attacking. They looked like they had purpose. They went up with purpose. But then at a certain point, once PSG got into that game, I just felt like Arsenal lost that drive, like that. They had no teeth.
Well, they started resorting to the throw-ins, the long
Crossing
yeah,
it in,
whatever.
throw-ins. Like that was this type of stuff that I saw when it was Arsenal versus Inter earlier in the season
Yeah.
in Champions League, and they had no other way of scoring, no other way of going about trying to get an opportunity, and unfortunately, Arsenal they had to resort on a Saka kind of lucky bounce.
Did you
try to get the
did
goal?
you see an Arsenal scout in 2022? It was admitted that they could have signed Kavica Kvaratskhelia, but Inchos decided to sign Marquinhos. You know that-
2022. He must have still
my
been
God,
at.
the defender?
No, the winger Marquinhos. Exactly. You haven't even heard of him. You haven't even heard of him because he went from Sao Paulo to Arsenal, and then he sucked at Arsenal, got a loan to Norwich, I think, and did nothing at Norwich.
oh my goodness.
So he's kind of gone into oblivion. Meanwhile, they didn't sign Kavica.
That is really bad.
Yeah.
And I saw the comments now that you bring up Marquinhos, the other Marquinhos, but the Arteta was talking about the resilience that Arsenal shows every year being in Champions League, and he's saying like this is progress. The progress is that we're learning from these tough times. Just look at Marquinhos over there at PSG, who's been at PSG for 11 years. And he hasn't won anything in Champions League, but he's learning, and now he's in a Champions League final.
he said this.
I probably twisted his words, but brother, why are you looking on the other side? Look at yourself.
Yeah.
Marquinhos was part of a team effort that, honestly, PSG has been a top 2 team in the world. Arsenal has not shown to be a top 2 team in the world.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean?
At any point, do you think Arsenal? were top
I know you're thinking, but they were never a top 2 team in the world. this
Liverpool
year.
were there, Barcelona
Yes.
were there. Like I don't remember
it's
putting
tough
Arsenal.
because we're judging off of results, but like Barcelona, for me, I still look this year and I say Barcelona and Liverpool were the 2 best teams in the world. Personally,
Yeah.
even though PSG beat Liverpool,
You could throw it.
I still think Liverpool
Maybe
were
over the
better.
course of a season, yes. I would
Yes,
say.
that's my
over the
argument.
course of the season,
Like,
because
for me-
PSG had a very poor start to the season.
Like for me, if you put Inter in a league format, they're not as good as if in a knockout format.
I think we end up where we
They
were.
manage.
I think where we end up where we were. We finished fourth.
Yeah, they would be around there.
I'm comfortable with that because the squad, that's a squad that gets fourth.
Yeah.
Agreed.
In this monster format. But honestly, Arsenal, Arteta has no reason to talk. Absolutely.
That's what I'm
no
saying.
And
reason.
putting words in Luis Enrique's mouth. They said we were the better team. I don't know what he's talking about.
So yeah, Arteta said, Do you see that when he started laughing?
Yeah.
It was funny because the reporter, she's an Arsenal fan, but you could obviously tell she's just not the biggest Arteta fan. He's like, they said we were the better side. She's like, who said that? He
She's an
tried to
Arsenal
brush
fan.
over the question.
Huh?
He tried to brush over the
Huh?
question. No, he was like, he kept speaking. He's like, and we played very good. And then and
Yeah,
she's
but who
like,
said that?
Yeah, but who said that? The other coaches on the other
bench.
side.
The bench said that.
The PSG
Oh yeah, but
bench.
who on the bench?
But who
Oh,
on the bench?
everyone.
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 Then they asked Luis
Luis
Enrique,
Enrique,
and no one said that.
Yeah.
No one said that. But there's no way you admit that you were the worst team. There's absolutely no way.
Maybe because you
It doesn't
feel
make
bad,
sense.
you tell him, oh,
you did a good job.
You deserved.
Yeah,
deserved
you know
it.
what? You guys
Humble.
also
Yeah.
humble.
But in your head, you're like, they did not deserve
But don't
that.
mix that up. Don't mix that up with admittance.
Yeah.
That you were the worst side.
And,
You know?
and what I find crazy is that PSG, like regardless of the Dembele injury, they were still able to line up in a very full strength lineup, even without Dembele.
I'd argue Dembele is like he's a very good player, but like if you get injured, bro, you still have Doué, Barcola.
That's what I'm
Kubica.
saying.
Like it's more of like if Vitinha gets injured, then you might start finding
That
a bit
midfield
more.
Could be, yes, but
And they've been
Or Hakimi gets
yes.
injured,
But to me, that shows that PSG have built a very good team.
and that's a blessing that you get from winning your league 2 months before the season ends. That
It does help.
You get a lot of injury management.
It does help.
Yeah,
So-
the load management, and players get maybe 30, 35 minutes a game, 40 minutes a game, and you're able to kind of load manage and deal with these big games. But yeah, PSG are a very, very scary side. They're a very dominant side. They've shown against basically every Premier League
Team.
every Premier League contender in Champions League. So yeah, I don't know. This matchup is going to be very, very.
Still only one team left in Europe that's undefeated though. So put some
I guess
We'll get to that.
put some respect on her name.
But yeah, basically, CL final will be Inter vs PSG. Personally, as an Inter fan, I'm okay with this matchup. I do think PSG.
I agree as an Inter
I
fan.
think PSG lines
Manageable.
up closer to Barca, like more comparable to a Barca, because they
Than
have, well, compared to an Arsenal, in my opinion.
Like in terms of strength.
Yeah, in terms of like squad build, squad depth, like because PSG have a very, very attacking and amazing front three.
Yeah.
Just like Barcelona did.
Okay.
Barcelona have a very technical midfield, just like PSG.
True. Okay.
And Barcelona's defense obviously is not like their strong suit, and
Yeah.
I think PSG, that's not their strong suit as well.
So you're saying you would have preferred an Arsenal in terms of beating them as an Inter fan?
I think I did say that I would prefer Arsenal because we did beat them, but like we also sat back and played with our B team. So I don't know. I feel like we could have beaten Arsenal too.
I think you're in a very good position now against PSG.
Yeah, but now, anyways, we'll talk about the league stuff. But
Yeah.
where those two teams are in two completely different league situations. Inter is in a completely different league situation than PSG.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot can change and a lot can happen. So it just depends on what happens between now and May 31st.
You see the League Aren't team of the season. It was basically all PSG.
That's Farmers League right there.
Cherki and Chevalier.
Yeah.
Cherki just made it.
Chevalier linked to Man United, by the way. But,
Enjoy that.
Apparently he's
He's
good.
actually very good. Even Pala, I remember Pala specifically said he's very good. So if he joins Manchester United,
Clip. Send it to the
Yeah.
group chat.
Pala
That's
guarantee right there.
that's clipped right there. But yeah, I don't know. That league needs to figure it out.
And then Arsenal, after this game with PSG, goes and plays Liverpool in the Premier League. They tie 2-2.
Was actually a
Honestly,
good game.
Yeah, it's not bad. I
Yeah.
think Arsenal showed some good times,
Stuff, but at the end of the day, it was a game that really had no
stakes.
stake. Maybe more for Arsenal, but
Trent got booed. Okay, now I wanted to speak about this because Liverpool fans embarrassing themselves once again. How do you boo Trent Alexander-Arnold after all he's done for your club?
it's very. I do find it somewhat selfish by Liverpool fans because you are basically expecting a player to stay with you for his whole career, without giving him less than necessarily the leeway to look for a better opportunity. Not saying Liverpool's not a good opportunity, but brother, when Real Madrid come calling, if Real Madrid came calling to any Inter player, I'd say, brother,
And bro,
how
I
can
feel
say
like
no?
he fits Xabi Alonso like a glove too. Like imagine how he used Grimaldo. He's gonna use
My lord, Trent with
Trent
no
the exact
defensive
same way. Yeah.
responsibilities. Tabarnak.
gonna be scary.
Yeah.
Scary sights for La Liga.
However, I do see why they're booing him. Like, I don't know the details behind his contract situations, why he didn't stay at Liverpool. But listen, Liverpool are holding themselves up as, why would you go to Real Madrid? We're just as good. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
they have that. They're trying to give him that aura. Like, why are you going to Real Madrid? We're competing for Champions League.
Yes,
we
but
just won the Prem.
Like it or not, if you're trying to be in these all-time conversations, go through players that played for Liverpool and who's in an all-time conversation. No one.
But that, I think this Liverpool, well, Salah,
Luis
Van Dijk.
Those players, like the thing about Van Dijk is if he played at Real Madrid, he would easily be in those Sergio Ramos conversations. But
He is.
I feel like if in 20 years' time we go Virgil van Dijk was as good as Sergio Ramos, the kid who just saw Sergio Ramos' CV and he just sees his appearances for Real Madrid and stuff are gonna say, bro, Van Dijk wasn't even close to Sergio Ramos, bro.
He was on podium, Ballon d'Or.
It's already out there. That's bro. We compare sometimes Van Dijk to Sergio Ramos. We get flamed by the Real
You don't
Madrid
get
fans.
flamed.
Yes, we do.
I think it's putting him above Sergio Ramos that gets you flamed. But to say, like, listen, they've both had very insane peaks, and they're definitely both in the top 5 center backs ever situation.
But in 20 years' time, kids only are gonna look at their Wikipedia page. What does their Wikipedia page say?
But Van Dijk has a good CV.
It's
Champions
not
League,
Sergio
Prem.
Ramos though.
Of course.
World Cup, 2 years.
But on ability, we know on ability
he's on the same level.
that
He's probably better.
I'd argue Van Dijk is. I would rather Van Dijk's prototype as a center back, but they're both. You're talking about fine margins here, but people will remember Sergio Ramos a greater all time than of Van Dijk. You could even argue potentially some people will even think, and I don't agree with this. I don't think so. And he played for Manchester United, but some people may even look at Varane's CV and say he was better than Van Dijk.
That's rough.
That's
Bro, Varane has a World Cup.
He has
He
an
has
insane
multiple
CV.
CLs.
But that's CV talk. I agree. Those are the arguments you're gonna have to face. But as a group of guys that I've seen Varane play throughout his Real Madrid career, throughout his Manchester United career, you really can't sit down and try to convince me that he's better than a Van Dijk.
Yeah, no.
I'm really like at one point he was one of the best in the world. That's not a debate. But Van Dijk has been doing it for way too long.
So you're saying these players need to leave Liverpool or their boyhood clubs to go to Real Madrid?
Liverpool, in the grand scheme of the sport,
Don't say because they're a big club.
are okay.
Liverpool's a big club.
They're not Barcelona. They're not Real Madrid. They're in terms of like echelon.
I mean,
they're not
I
Man
disagree
United.
with that.
seven Champions
They're not-
Leagues or 8.
Yeah, but they're not. They're not.
6 Champions Leagues or 7?
Like you could win as
6.
many Champions Leagues as possible. I'm sure if you go through top 5 debates of all time, like Gerrard, if he played for fucking Real Madrid, he would be a little bit higher. It's facts, bro.
I could. That's very hypothetical.
It's not hypothetical.
Bro, look how people talk about Salah. Salah is
If you go in the top, like
one of the Premier League's
I
greatest.
agree, but he should be like if I said Salah is better than Gareth Bale, the
fucking crazy.
it's but he's obviously better. Like he's obviously better, but you say it's fucking crazy because Gareth
biting
Bale,
his lips over there.
bro. Salah, I love Gareth Bale, one of my favorite all-time players. He's obviously better than Gareth Bale, but he will never get that. Oh, he's obviously better than Gareth Bale. Is Robin better than Gareth Bale?
I don't know.
But you see, Salah's way better than Robin.
Robin was a mercenary.
Yes, Robin was a monster, bro, but Salah is an all-time tier. But he doesn't get that respect
I do
because
see
he
what you're
because he
saying.
didn't play for Barcelona, Real Madrid. I'd argue Manchester United. If you are that good at Manchester United and you do win trophies at Manchester United, you will be put in that tier.
I do think a Liverpool Champions League and 2 Premier Leagues with Liverpool, like I do.
It means something, but it doesn't put you in that.
I think it puts you in that tier. Like, because what I agree with you is that yes, a Bale going to Real Madrid like moved the streets.
Yes.
Like they took over lifestyle. They took over the culture. Brother, I remember kids getting haircuts specifically because of Gareth Bale.
I got Gareth Bale haircut.
because
That was the GOAT,
because of the
bro.
influence. But if you're looking just at player ability, I do think Salah, he's in that conversation with Bale.
Yeah, I mean,
But say he's head over heels over Bale is kind of crazy.
I think it's not even close, personally.
That's kind of crazy.
But Gareth Bale played in those fucking CS finals every
And he
year.
scored.
And he scored. So, like...
It adds to it,
Yes.
of course.
But
As it should.
But, bro, Salah has an argument, and if you don't count Messi, Salah has an argument for being the best right winger of all time. He does.
you need to think about it.
But people don't say it because bro played for Liverpool.
I don't think it's because of that.
Yeah, I don't think
if
it's
he did
specifically
what he
because of
did at Liverpool, copy paste, did what he did at Liverpool at Real Madrid, that what I said is not even crazy.
You're talking about stats? Like, what are you talking about?
Stats, everything. Like if you just copy pasted his Liverpool career in a white Real Madrid jersey or a Barcelona jersey or a Bayern Munich jersey, even I'll say, we're having much different conversations. Much different.
I don't know, but then Trent going to Real Madrid for free is a little bit different, I would say.
No.
I don't think I don't think it's a bad transfer for like if I was a Liverpool fan, I wouldn't be as like distraught or this upset. But yes, Trent in his position is fantastic. But brother, it's
It's a right back.
it's a right back.
Trent on ability, and once again, this keeps going, but this is how good these Liverpool players are, and they don't get this respect. Trent on ability, in my lifetime, now I didn't get to watch like Cafu and shit like that, so I won't speak on that. In my lifetime, he's the best right back I've watched in my life. For me, he's
really?
better than Dani Alves.
Really?
Me personally. That's what I'm saying.
I find to be the best, you need to be complete. And Trent,
No,
unfortunately,
Dani Alves was
defensively-
not complete.
Because he was more on the defensive side.
No, he was more on the offensive side.
Maybe at Barcelona, Juventus, making CL finals with Juventus.
But I mean, you're playing with
He was a right
Messi.
back.
It's a lot easier.
Oh,
Like
of course.
the sport's a lot easier when you're playing with Lionel
Yes.
Messi.
Yeah, but I mean, Trent's playing with Salah too. So,
Yeah, but Salah's not Messi.
okay, but you want to put him in those all-time tiers. It's
Yes,
not-
but
it's-
once
come on.
again, Messi's in its different tier. I said if you're not counting Messi as a right winger,
Yes, I get it, but it's still There's really no other right winger in the world.
there's never
Salah.
been a better crosser or passer of the ball at the right back position than Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Okay, that's a different argument.
Yeah.
Because you said best fullback.
Yes.
Now, best fullback, you also have to defend. And we all know Trent is obviously better at attacking than
You
defending.
will see the staggering world-class level of Trent Alexander-Arnold
Without
next
defending.
season.
Without
You will
defending.
see it.
Without defending?
It will be fucking frightening how
But-
good he is.
But as a player on an individual level, you have to make that jump. You have to make that jump.
Yes,
And-
because
and I
people
would
won't
not be
respect
upset.
you until you. He's accomplished all he has to do at Liverpool.
But that's what I'm saying. It's not like he missed out because he
Yes.
didn't win a Champions League or a Prem with them. Brother, 2 Prems and a Champions League is more than many other...
More than Gerrard did.
More than any other Premier League legend. I'm sorry. So, yes.
He's the best Prem right back of all time, guaranteed.
And I
already.
honestly, personally, I think
Walker.
Liverpool...
He's better than Walker.
Walker's a lot of trophies in his cabinet.
If he, bro, I care, bro. Like once again, you're speaking about CV. You're literally doing the exact argument
Oh my
I'm
God,
talking about. The Sergio
Walker-
Ramos Van Dijk comparison.
Walker back in the day was amazing.
Yeah.
Sure, very
No,
good.
no way- if a
Trent
winger was, like, going against
Alexander-Arnold
Walker-
is way better than Kyle Walker.
As a passer.
Compare Kyle Walker to like Carvajal and shit. Very good players in very good teams. But Trent Alexander-Arnold is a pillar of a team. He's who you build a team around.
Well, then maybe that's Liverpool's fault for not re-signing him at the end of the day.
Well, no, they re-signed. He wanted to go a couple of years back. He said, "I'll give you 2 more years and then I'll go for free.
I think
if you don't
that's
want to
justified.
sell me."
And I think that's okay. I don't think it was justified for Liverpool fans to boo.
A little change of scenery.
And they started chanting Steven Gerrard, because he stayed obviously his whole career despite having like chances to leave. So
But
Bit of a
okay,
slight.
just to end it off, like at least if you stay at Liverpool, you will win trophies. You know what I mean? You will win.
I don't know if that's guaranteed, but yeah.
I think Liverpool has that stature of winning trophies.
But I'd argue Real Madrid have a bigger stature of winning trophies, bro.
Michael
Sometimes.
trophyless.
Like, bro, next
trophy.
year they're not going trophyless. They're walking out of there with something.
Yeah.
You think Fiorentino Perez is allowing that? to
Oh, look,
happen?
they just we'll talk about it. They
Yeah.
sacked Ancelotti. They got Xabi Alonso.
We'll talk about it, but yeah, obviously in the Prem there was a bit more drama.
Yeah.
Because Nottingham Forest owner, a Greek Don, decided to come on the pitch and rip Nuno Espirito Santo after a draw versus Leicester.
Me and Ferms were actually arguing. We actually think it's a good thing.
Yeah, it
Like,
should-
obviously, it's not a good thing that he ran into a bitch and ripped the manager.
In
but-
front of cameras as well.
Yes, but you want that type of owner at your club.
You want him to be involved. Just
Yes.
look at the Why? You would disagree, Mili?
I completely disagree.
Brother,
Bro.
look at Florentino Perez. He's involved with the team.
But
He's
does
present.
he go on? Does he go on the pitch and publicly rip Ancelotti?
Okay,
No,
the way he
doesn't.
did it was not good in front of the cameras on the field. But what I'm talking about is the passion that he's shown, that he's involved with the team. He didn't agree. Apparently, it was some staffing decision.
It was a medical staff decision.
Yes.
Because Awoniyi played when he got injured, but he wasn't supposed to play. Like, so it's a whole medical staff mismanagement. But it more goes back to the idea that, bro, 2 years ago when they got promoted, he wrote a letter to the fans saying, like, we're not just gonna get promoted and go down. We're gonna make Europe. We're gonna actually vie for these like big accomplishments. And now he's delivering on it. Like,
And
he
that's
spent-
a very
he spent a lot, too.
yes,
and that's
He's
good.
put down.
I agree. That's the type of manager you want. But after owner, sorry. But after a match versus Leicester, draw 1-1, yes.
where it's the first time they qualify for Europe in 40 years or 30 years.
Yes. And to go publicly and rip the manager for something like that could have happened behind closed doors. That could have been a discussion with the medical staff altogether. I'm sorry, I don't think that was proper.
It's such a small thing that's blown out of proportion
Yeah.
just because it was done. You're just like, bro, when we work behind the scenes,
Yeah.
sometimes when you're trying to achieve something like great or do something big, stuff gets feisty.
Yeah, of course. And I think that shows ambition.
Yes.
But passion, yes, to a certain extent. But he needs to go into that. Like, I'm sure he's praising his players too. I don't know the full story of it, but I just think that act was not necessarily
Like the Glazers, I'm sure Man United, the Glazers,
don't
they
give-
haven't
Glazers
even
don't
been
give
in
a
the
shit.
locker room in fucking.
I don't even know how it looks
20 years,
like.
Bro, they're just worried about what dividend comes in at the end of the month. They don't care about like
Yes.
all this shit, which is not good. I think it's better to have this type of owner than the owner who doesn't care.
I agree, and that's I
Like
I
Steven,
agree with
like
that.
your old owner, Steven Zhang, which even though financially may have been a mess,
Oh, I loved him.
he
He's
set the
involved.
foundations for the club right now from where you guys were before. That guy was celebrating all the trophies. He was there with the team. He
Yeah.
was friends with the players.
Instagram live with the players.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. Like that's I appreciated him there. So yeah, you want a owner that's hands on. You want an owner that, but you don't want him to be overbearing, to make decisions for people that he has put in place to
But
make.
then what happens
decisions.
when you get a Florentino Perez or a
Because
Laporta?
he's proven to win Champions.
But how
Leagues.
are you?
How is he proven?
But exactly, at one point he was
been
not
there,
proven.
Been there, done that.
At one point, Florentino Perez was just a Marinakis, basically.
Yeah.
Like he just getting involved.
Not necessarily. It's a società. It's like he was just a president.
Yeah, but he's in.
He was elected as president.
Yeah.
Right? This is an owner we're talking about. This is an owner that's coming in and saying that I know better than you. I would have known to not play that player over the advice of a medical staff. Not saying the medical staff was right, but there's a difference between passionate and overbearing. That's what I would say.
I don't know. What do you think of Radcliffe as an owner? Is he involved?
Yeah, he's involved.
He's involved.
I like it personally. Like I don't see this 17th. Look, has it been perfectly managed since he's come in? No. But there's ambition being shown. We're going after the top level talents. We're going after we're not buying players like signing Mateus Cunha and like Liam Delap. Those are players that proven they deserve a transfer.
Yes.
We're not signing Hoylands. We're not signing Antonies. We're not signing like players who are all potential and you're just banking on potential. Like now we're actually showing that whatever, we can get into Man United after, but like
Well, we'll get into it right now. I'm laying it up for you, my brother, because you're currently sitting 17th. No, 16th, because Spurs is 17th, which is crazy.
Let that be known.
Which is absolutely ridiculous. But you're in a Europa League final, so if you do win that, you go to Champions League. But Amorim, there's a lot of questions. I saw a lot of Manchester United fans saying,
bro.
he should go. Do we sack Amorim right now?
Now, if I told you, we can rewind back to when we appointed Amorim. I said we could make top 4. Now, looking back, do I think, yes, we're in 16th place. Has the season been a major failure? Yes. Is this the worst season for a big team ever?
Yes.
Probably yes.
Because Tottenham's not a big club, right?
Yes, obviously.
Okay.
But
They're
even
in the
Tottenham,
same-
bro,
they're the same situation.
We
It's
have
literally
literally
1 point
the same
difference.
season, us and Tottenham.
1 point
So
difference.
you guys are joint worst seasons by big clubs.
Yeah.
But Tottenham's not a big club. Like Tottenham, bro, they don't have a prem. Like you can't argue that they're a big club and you don't have a league title. So like
So then, do you lift that you had the worst season because you are a bigger club?
we have the worst season of like a mega club ever.
Lift up.
It is the worst.
Yeah, it's pretty
but,
bad.
Look,
Is it all
the
Amram's fault?
issue I'm thinking is that no, it's not Al Amram's fault, but at a big club, you can't let shit like this slide. Even though he doesn't deserve all the blame, like at clubs like Real Madrid, if a
Sacked.
manager dropped this, he would have been sacked 5 times already this season. Like,
Agreed.
like he wouldn't have made it to the Europa League
But
final.
then, what do? Do you play manager roulette? Like, oh, this is gonna be a hit. You sack this guy.
Like-
you hire
like
another
How low
one.
is the stats of a club?
The counterpoint is who do you even go get if you sack him? Because like I think we should play 3 back. So let's say we go and get another 3-back manager. The only better ones you could argue are like Inzaghi. I don't even know who's about like
Xabi.
Xabi Alonso.
Alonso going to Real Madrid though.
Who else? And Conte.
Yes, and none of those would join right now. So
Yeah.
like
Loki Conte, I think would.
no. He would like there's we have sporting structure now that he wouldn't fit in. But like
It's Napoli though, like a glove.
yes, because
should
all you
fit
have to
Milan,
worry
by the
about
way.
is fucking the owner. But I think me personally I wouldn't sack him. And I think that the signings this summer shouldn't be based on the manager. I think it's a very different situation to for me,
Hag.
even if he loses Europa League, I still wouldn't sack him personally.
Really.
Yes,
Give him-
I'm
give him a
saying
full
this right
season?
now before the Europa League.
Really.
I would not sack him. I think our performances have been better
But-
than under 10. Results been worse, but our performances got better.
Somebody needs to be blamed though. And you know, upper management is not getting the blame, so somebody will be a
Our
scapegoat.
players are fucking horrible.
So there's the scapegoats.
But we don't have the 16th best squad in the league. We don't like
You
our
don't. The
players
quality
aren't
is-
16,
no.
but they are fucking bad. And we on expected points were 12th. So like I think that's
That's
more
where you
where
are, I
we
think. Yeah.
range, but we are fucking horrible. Like
No.
we are so bad. And we have actually I was telling this to Mili and Ferms before we start recording. I think Højlund's actually the worst player I've ever watched put on a Manchester United kit.
We were trying to think of worst signings at Manchester
Forget
United.
signings, player.
I know, but
Youth players. I'd rather all the youth players we gave debuts to.
But at
I'd
that
rather
point-
Tyler Blackett than
then-
fucking Højlund.
But that's what I was thinking too. It's like, okay, you lost 2-0 versus West Ham. That in itself is terrible. But if you lost 2-0 to West Ham, but you had half your squad or more than half your squad as academy players, giving them the minutes.
well,
and
no,
you,
we have very young players on our team.
I understand, but even just giving the academy players minutes. I know you have a young squad, but you do have a Europa League
the
final
left
coming
wing
up.
back was a 18-year-old
Play more,
academy
bro.
player.
Play more. Your subs.
He
play more.
plays every Prem game now, bro, Mili.
Play more.
Play more.
Play more, because now like
Lenny Yoro at center back.
Amarim needs to show more. Like personally, if I was the manager, I would. There's a reason why I'm not the manager, but like more of a distinction between at this point in the season, a distinction between Europa League and the Premier League. You make it completely known to everyone that the Premier League is not something you're paying attention to right now. So
But he explained why he thinks that. But he said this in the press conference. He doesn't want the players to think like that. Like he does show it through our team selection. Like our
Yeah.
starters play Europa League and our backups play Premier League games.
Yeah.
But he also explained that it's embarrassing that there's no sense of urgency at the club. Like for Europa League, and this is a bit from Ten Hag where he explained, oh, this game is like a final, like we need to die in these games. But meanwhile, like if let's say it was a 12th place game, he said, oh, we're gonna play all the backups, like the game doesn't really matter. Like Amarim argues against your point by saying like there's no urgency, bro. We're the fucking worst Manchester United team of all time potentially.
but that could also be
And
addressed.
every game you should go in like we need to win today, but he doesn't feel that urgency from the players because he doesn't know why, but he needs to instill. He said, "I need to instill that in the players next season because it's unacceptable for Manchester United to lose a game."
Yeah, and I like that mentality. I agree. That's something Amarim Like it's right of him to criticize that of the players, but on that mentality side, the players need to understand that okay, whatever we're doing now is building towards a season, like next season, and not just completely like saying, "Oh, well, this
understand that
season
as
means
fans.
nothing." Yes, as fans, but you could get that idea that every game you have to play like you have to play 100% until like a player like Amad Diallo before Europa League final ends up getting hurt because Amram decided to keep that intensity up because of that.
Amad Diallo just came back from injury. That's why he started.
I get it, but it's still a risk. There's
Like,
always
what,
risk.
you're gonna not play him until the final, and he hasn't played minutes. Like, it's
Yeah,
not-
you give him minutes, but I'm not saying give him like 60, 70 minutes. I'm saying give him maybe 25 or 30 minutes just to keep the legs
I
warm.
don't know. I disagree with that take. But Bruno didn't play against West Ham, or he played like he. I don't even know if he got subbed. I stopped watching after 2-0, so
That's
I can't.
crazy. But
like-
at least what I like about Amram is that he's been pretty realistic with expectations, with what he demands. He said in that same interview, Varvar, he said we cannot allow Man United standards to drop.
I don't know if he started.
Yeah, that's how bad the performance was.
What, that you didn't even
Bruno
know?
Fernandes.
Yeah, but go. Sorry.
Like in that same interview, he mentioned we cannot allow Manchester United the standards of Manchester United to drop.
Yeah, he said we're losing the feeling of being a big club.
Yes,
Which
which
I
is
agree.
fucking facts. If you think about it,
I
Yeah.
agree. So like, but I honestly think that he's always said the right things.
yes.
And I feel like he does have a touch on the job at hand, and it's gonna be a big job. But I think, look, signings like Delap, he's one of the
I'm sorry, I
But
really don't see the lab moving the
profile
needle.
wise fits perfectly Amram.
What, Premier League player?
He's top dribbler for strikers in the Premier League, like not in volume in terms of success rate.
You need
That's
to go
exactly what we need.
You need to go with experience now. I think
But he
your
has
team is
Prem
so
experience.
inexperienced. Yes, Premier League player, but Delap is a player that to me doesn't raise the ceiling.
In my opinion, he raises the floor, which is what we need because the floor right now is fucking
Yeah,
relevant.
but it's like Højlund is the basement and Delap brings you back to the floor. Why not go for like a little bit higher?
But let's say next year, okay. So Højlund, relegation fodder, okay?
Yes.
Delap, maybe a top 6 striker. That's a big
six?
fucking
What do you mean?
upgrade for 30 million, by the way. He's 30 million English. So, like,
I think
if we get to
profile-wise, it
top
makes sense.
6, if profile-wise definitely makes sense. If we get to top 6, if we get a top 6 level striker that can grow with us as we're getting better, then that makes a lot more sense than trying to go for an Osimhen who right now doesn't fit the timeline of our team.
But forget Osimhen. There's I don't know which other strikers, but there are other strikers that
I'd rather sign Delap than Gyökeres,
really
personally.
I find that stupidity.
That's
It's
one of the
double-
takes.
it's-
That's a clip we're going to be.
It's
keeping for
over.
a bit.
It's over double the price. He's
But
proven
it's
himself in the
warranted.
championship, but he's not proven himself in the Prem. Like for me personally, from where I'm at right now, 16th place, I can't afford to whiff on another striker. I can't afford that. That's not an option in my books. We just spent 80 million on some fucking dog shit player that I would honestly sell for. I would give him away for free. So
But you see, Højlund was never proven.
Højlund's
Doesn't fit the
fucking-
mold.
I agree.
Never had the stats. Was never worth 80 mil. You know what I mean?
I
So that's
agree.
just a whiff.
Okay, but a player
Gyökeres
like
has the
Anthony,
stats.
who obviously is a good player,
Yeah.
but he can't play in the Prem. He's just not a Prem player. The game's too fast in the Prem. It's too physical for him.
I'd argue it was just a matter of fitting in with the team.
No,
like
that's stupid.
Why?
The game was too fast. He can't beat a man one-on-one in the Premier League. You go to La Liga, he's fucking Ronaldinho, second coming of Jesus Christ. In the Prem,
But he's given the
He
facilities.
played fullback. He had the fullbacks one-on-one. He couldn't get anywhere near past them. That's just basic facts. The game is more physical. Players are faster. In La Liga, he doesn't have that issue to worry about. He can get by his fullback easily, which opens the game a lot more for him. That's what I'm scared about with motherfuckers like Gyökeres. They're coming from such fucking bad leagues compared to the Premier League that I cannot trust players like that. Get me Liam Delap. I'll worry about taking my team from, let's say, 4th place to 1st place after I get, that's an issue we'll worry about down the line.
You're trying to
get
set
me
up the
to 4th
foundation.
place first. I'm not going to worry about winning the Prem before I even I'm in 16th right now.
all
bro.
I'm saying
Beggars
is that
can't be choosers.
the lap is not the person to bring you to 4th place. That's what I'm saying.
I disagree with that. I think he can definitely bring you to 4th place. It's more like, bro, you're telling me Nico Jackson's better than Delap?
yes.
No. I disagree with you.
I mean,
Nico Jackson hasn't scored since February, I think. He has 1 goal maybe since February.
but Nico Jackson, how old is the lap?
23.
23.
Okay.
Yeah, he's younger.
You're going to ask me
What do you
how
mean
old
younger?
is Nico Jackson?
Well, no, he's,
I know where
he's a
Nico
younger
Jackson's
player.
our age, no?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
Unk status, by the way,
Unk status.
yeah.
according to some.
But and like Cunha, and for me, you need to
Cunha
sign
is a
Cunha.
ceiling raiser.
For me, next year front three needs to be, and Ahmad can obviously play in that front three or at wing back. Cunha and Buemo, the lap. Figure it out.
Mbuemo, Cunha, now you're talking about ceiling raisers. The lap is not a ceiling raiser. He's just because you're looking at what you have and you're saying, yes, it's better than that. But it doesn't mean that you're in competition with
Do you
now
want to
the
put
top four.
a bet right now?
I don't want to bet with you with these things. What do you want to bet
Liam
about?
Delap will score over
15.
12 goals in the Prem
Mine's
next
at
year.
12.
He did it right now with Ipswich.
So
But does that make
how many goals do you think Liam Delap scores in the Prem next year?
with what team? Manchester United?
Let's say Man U.
I'll go 15 maybe.
That's a fucking good player, bro. 15
15
league goals
as your main
15
striker.
league goals.
Main striker.
Bro, Turan doesn't
Wait,
even have
answer this.
15 fucking goals.
Okay, but I got 2 main
He's
strikers,
got 2,
brother.
and
Okay.
Lautaro is the
So
main
now
striker.
let's go. I'll tell you the players this season that have 15 Premier League goals.
Varvar, as a main striker, you're talking about.
Yes.
If your striker cannot score more than 15 goals, he's a flop.
Okay, I'll tell you all the players with 15 goals in the Premier League this
ahead.
season. He would be top 10, by the way, in goals in the Prem. Cole Palmer, Mateus Cunha, Ollie Watkins, Mbuemo, Wissa, Chris Wood, Haaland, Isaac Salah. That's fucking good if you get 15. I would be fucking so happy if he got 15.
A
Well,
striker.
considering what you have now, yeah. Makes
That-
sense.
Bro, even 10 is good. 10 goals is good output, bro.
You know the interview I was talking about of Amrim, the standards. 10 goals for a striker is not good.
Bro,
Main striker needs to
it's
score
top
at least
20 in goals
At
in the
least
Prem.
20.
Bro, you had Ibra, you had Rooney, you had.
Bro,
Man
Ibra
United-
didn't even score fucking 15.
Man United has had very good strikers in the past.
Yes.
If you think about it, the profiles, the players, the stature.
They didn't even come
a
close to
Cavani
15.
was good. Like Cavani was a good player to buy. Unfortunately, it
Ibra
didn't work
scored
out.
17 in the year where he was fucking. But that's all
Exactly.
Pogba tax, by the way. But
Oh,
Oh, that's Paul Pogba tax.
no,
It's not like
that's
Ibra's a better
Fernandes.
player than the lap.
Yeah, Bruno Fernandes.
no shit,
brother.
Ibra's better player than Delap.
Exactly. Like that's what I'm saying. The stature of the players has dropped. The lap is not that guy to bring you back to a top 4 race.
He's 20. He's 21. How old is Liam
The
Delap?
lap is 21.
Delap.
City Academy, by the way.
22.
But even more to my point, he's a young striker that needs time to develop.
He just scored 12 in the Prem. For me, next season, if he's coming to Manchester United, I'm expecting at least 12.
But stop relying on these young strikers to bring you back.
Okay, so who would you sign in our shoes?
I don't have a map of every striker that's available. I don't know. But like, for
You
example,
don't have a name, one name right now.
as you said, Gyökeres.
Okay, cost, I'd argue even triple the price because it's more than double the transfer fee. His wages are going to be a lot more than the lap, so it's probably even going to be triple the lap.
Osimhen.
Not worth it in my opinion. That's a risk. Again, coming from a shittier league, it's a risk.
He's a proven goal scorer. He's always scored more than 20 goals.
In the Champions League, too.
He's done it in the champ.
For
Napoli.
Anthony was amazing in the Champions League too. The Prem is a whole different beast. I don't want fucking players outside of the Prem. I don't want them. I don't want him.
unless
You
they're
can keep
PSG.
him. He can go to Milan. He can go to Juve. Juve, you can keep Osimhen. Have fun.
Yeah, but
He'll
you
be
see,
good
that's
in,
an upgrade.
He'll be good in Serie A. Yeah, he's definitely an upgrade. He'll be good in Serie A. Let him be
Vlahovic.
good in
What would you
Serie
say
A.
of Vlahovic?
Fucking Vlahovic
Vlahovic
is
is
Hoyland.
That is not
I
the
agree.
name you gotta
I agree.
bring
He's
up.
bad, but like, listen, for
That is
30 million,
Better than Delap?
No, I'd rather low-key Delap.
really,
Bro,
You're the
Delap
biggest
is
advocate
way
for
better than
Vlahovic.
Vlahovic.
I don't give a shit about both of these players. I
For
don't have an
Manchester
opinion
United
on them.
specifically, I think an English striker
If it's
that,
the
that
mold.
understands
Yes.
the Premier League, that has the experience, like it makes a lot of sense. It'll be a lot easier for him to come into a team like Manchester United and kind of get into the
And it's
groove.
one of the biggest green flags that a player, the progression chart is like this. It's not like that. And it's like Delap has gone like this. Every single loan move he's gotten has been a success. And every single time, like Ipswich, first season in the Prem, 12 goals as for
It's
a
good.
relegation
It's
team
very good.
is fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yes.
But as I said, you're looking at the other top 4 teams in the Prem, and their strikers are proven.
But top 4, we're not a top 4 team in the Prem.
But that's what you're aiming for. You just said.
No, next year top 6, I'll be happy, bro.
But top 6, like, what do we include? Aston Villa 6 right now.
Yes,
Aston Villa has Ollie Watkins. You know what I mean?
but he's gonna probably get sold next year.
Okay, but that's Ollie Watkins is way better than Liam Delap.
I agree.
And Nottingham Forest has Chris
He's also
Wood.
10 years older, but yeah, almost 10 years older.
Yes, he has more experience. But exactly, experience.
Chris
once
Wood,
again. Chris
I'd
Wood,
argue
experience.
Delap is better than Chris Wood.
You could argue that, but Chris Wood has had experience in the Prem. He's scored a lot of goals this year. He's been a very
But
consistent performer
imagine
in
you
the Prem.
bought Chris Wood, instead of buying him at 31, you bought him at 22, and he was like when he was at Burnley, he was always Chris Wood, but
Exactly.
because his team dynamics, you would probably argue, oh my God, this guy's just a Burnley merchant. You would have argued.
Anyways,
Delap, good signing, in my personal opinion. Stay away from the Gyökeres's, the Aussie men's. We can't afford to miss on an 80 million player again. That's the facts.
but however, there's in the top 4 race at least, there are, I'd say, 3 teams who have looked to have a better, at least a better season next year. You have Chelsea, Manchester City, Arsenal. Who do you guys think will have a better season next year?
I mean, you don't want to put your money against Manchester City right now. Like, I understand that this season wasn't what they hoped, but brother, they might actually leap Arsenal this season once the dust settles. So I don't know. I'm gonna say Manchester City.
Really? I feel like, okay, this might be a hot take, but Chelsea's progression has been quite linear. And although this season they've had their lows, I still think what they're building is quite special.
I don't know what you're waiting for. Like, where's this jump gonna come from?
I think if they get top 5 this year, which qualifies them for Champions League, that's the progression that Chelsea should have had in the past.
I can't trust Enzo Maresca over a full season, personally. I'm still going to go Arsenal. Personally, I still think Arsenal will have the best season out of these. I don't like Man City, personally. I don't think that their squad is very good.
They're relying a lot on these young players.
Yes.
Kusanov is barely playing nowadays.
That's crazy, by the way. They
I know.
spent 35 million. He's barely even playing. But I think it's because he's still learning the language. He joined. He didn't even speak English, so it's small
little
stuff like
tough,
that.
yeah.
But Chelsea, for me, I think Enzo Maresca is going to get sacked next year. I don't think he's not the manager for Chelsea. Chelsea fans right now are very frustrated. I'll say.
They are.
I feel like their players, especially their top players, have slightly regressed. Like, I think Cole Palmer earlier in the season, well, obviously he was that guy, but this season it's not necessarily been as good as last season. Nicholas Jackson has a bit of a goal drought as well. So I don't know. I don't see. I'm sure there's promise to the Chelsea project, but to make that jump over Manchester City, or to make that jump over an Arsenal, I
don't see them bringing in any player that makes you go
wow
this summer. Like, it's gonna be they've laid the foundations from a couple of years ago, and they're gonna keep riding with it. And I don't think that that's gonna make them go from. Like, I don't see them finishing higher than third. Third is like an amazing season next
I
year.
agree. That's an amazing season by Chelsea.
Yeah. But I think that's... Listen,
Arsenal, like, that's a fucking horrible season if you finish third.
but exactly. I don't see Arsenal doing better than what they did this season.
I disagree.
I don't know,
think
but-
if they bring in a striker, which they're probably going to bring in Gyökeres, and like I said, it's a risk, but that's a risk. That's a club that's able to take a risk because of how they're set up. And if that hits, bro, you're talking about potentially winning the league.
Do you see any, let's say, Arsenal players, not necessarily jumping ship, but moving
No.
on elsewhere? I don't know those Saliba rumors
talks.
No.
to Real Madrid. You say no, but brother, there's a starting spot begging for him at Real Madrid. He definitely starts.
It takes 3 to tango in terms of transfers.
Oh, brother, Saliba's one of them. He's ready to dance. He's got his dancing shoes on, brother.
Straight to Madrid.
No,
You know,
David Ornstein actually just said that he's talking with Arsenal over an extension.
That's just to raise the price.
That's
of Real
that Trent
Madrid.
extension right there.
That's just to raise the floor, bro.
Yeah, but next year they will have Saliba in the team, I'm expecting.
We'll see. I don't know. If I'm an Arsenal player, I'm concerned about, like, yes, there is progression. You made it to a CL semifinal. You are competitive, but to make that jump to actually win is a whole different game. Yes, they have the pieces to get there, and people could say they underperformed this season, but brother, maybe is that piece
That they need.
We don't know.
They definitely need a striker.
Definitely need a striker. So I don't know. I still think Man City is still reliable. Is reliable enough because, brother, if Man City finish above Arsenal this season,
Next season, you mean?
no, this season.
This season.
They won't finish above this season, bro.
Arsenal's
brother,
playing
I need you to
Newcastle
take a
right
look-
now. Huh?
I need you to take a look at that top four, hermano.
Arsenal, Newcastle, Man City wins their next game. They pass them.
That's like a Spurs situation. Like they finished third in a 2-horse race if they actually.
But that's the possibility. I'm not saying it's gonna happen. I'm just saying there's a possibility. But Man City have been on great form. 0-0 versus Southampton.
Garbage though.
That was terrible.
They could have literally.
That would have made it.
That would have made it.
Varvar Oracle moment, by the way. I predicted Newcastle top 4 this season. I'm pretty sure.
You also predicted Man City out of top 4, so Varvar out oracled.
Well, they're fourth.
themselves.
They're 3.
finish
Brother,
outside the top
Newcastle could finish
No,
above Arsenal.
Newcastle's third.
Arsenal second is true.
Newcastle could finish above Arsenal.
Yes. Like they play Arsenal. Imagine they beat them.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolute cinema.
That's must see TV.
Honestly, if Arsenal miss CL, that would be the greatest thing ever.
I don't think they
That's
do.
not
though.
happening.
I don't think they do.
They need Aston Villa to win both games, Chelsea to win both games. But Aston Villa play Man United and Tottenham. So that's two very winnable games.
Chelsea play Man
Honestly,
United.
if it came down to that, last final day, Arsenal.
Bonanza extravaganza.
I honestly say Man United throw the game.
So do it on purpose.
Play the U18s.
But that's what I'm saying.
I don't want to win that game. I'd actually rather
This is
finish.
good.
I'd rather finish 17th and Arsenal miss CL than finish like 15th.
my God,
That
this
is
is good.
Saliba start learning Spanish.
This
hermano.
will never happen, but this is amazing.
Bonanza extravaganza.
Oh,
Get
This
ready for
all
that.
goes down the drain if Arsenal even get one. But look at this form
Oh,
by
it's
Arsenal.
terrible.
They haven't won a game in 5 games.
But I'm supposed to believe they're above Inter in the power ranking.
Yeah, we'll
But Newcastle, bro, this is
what a team.
the best project.
Very nice
Like
project.
like
a winning
like
project right there.
the progression, the squad building has been immaculate. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a couple more additions, and they.
I'd
actually
honestly
compete.
argue Newcastle is gonna finish the highest out of these 3 next year.
It's very
Not
possible.
a bad shot, to be honest.
Tip of the hat to the tunes.
Shout out Luka Zernic.
Tip of the hat to the tunes.
But we'll get to the El Clasico games. I know we kind of blue balled them, but let's talk about Serie A first. Torino, Inter, and
We're saving the best for last.
yeah, we're saving the best for last.
Because that was one of the greatest games.
Yes.
On top after
And we
that
have a lot
Inter
to say.
Barca game. After that Inter Barca
Yeah.
game, we got something like that for an El Clasico.
Yeah.
Don't worry, we'll talk about it.
But wait, we're not talking about Torino, Inter. We're talking about the state of Serie A in the top, where Inter and Napoli are now tied.
So let's lay down
No,
the foundation.
Napoli's 78.
No, they're tied.
No, not tied. They're
1 point ahead.
So let's lay the foundations. Going into this weekend, Napoli were ahead by 3 points. And listen, I'm always praying to the Lord, saying I need Napoli to drop some points. So Inter played first. They had the first game, end up beating Torino 2-0 with our B team. Some of the starters got a couple minutes there, but I'm happy we played it. Our second team exactly how I wanted to play. It was perfect.
Zaluski, man of the match.
Oh my God, Zaluski, 6 million. We're gonna buy.
6 million.
Oh my God, what a signing! Pepe Marotta masterclass yet
Papa
again.
Marotta.
Baba Marotta.
Baba Marotta. Yeah, but Inter end up getting those points, so it ends up being tied going into the Napoli game versus Genoa. I was hoping for a miracle. Genoa, though, did take
Delivered.
points off, ends up being 2-2. So now Napoli is only ahead by 1 point going into the last 2 games of the season. Inter do have to play Lazio, but Napoli have to play Parma, and Parma have taken points off of the top.
I'm really
6.
hoping we get that one game final to decide.
So
I
here's
need the
thing.
extravaganza
So here's
bonanza.
the
I
thing.
need
so
it.
there are rumors as to when that potential playoff would happen. Some people were saying it would be midweek before the Champions League
need
final.
it.
yeah, I need that.
I would.
need
That would be the worst
What do you
week
need?
of my
Because-
entire
because
life.
Inter, we work on controversy. Like the more controversy,
That's a
the more we
Mili
win.
excuse right there. It's
Like-
just getting ready. He's laying the excuse out.
like he thinks of it as like, oh, our team's gonna be dead. No, like this gives us more fuel to the fire.
motivation.
Yes.
Yeah,
You win the league
So,
and then you go win the Champions
Like
League.
he looks like after we win if we potentially lose the CL, he's gonna come in saying, we played midweek. You see me, fans with expectations, we don't come up with excuses.
Never.
We don't come up with
Holy
excuses.
yeah.
We just win. We just win. So I'm still expecting the treble this year for Inter. But
That's the expectations.
yeah, that's the expectation.
Always were.
Yeah.
But this is the tightest race I've seen in a very, very, very long time. The last,
Down to the last
I would
day.
say, the last 4 or 5 years, since Conte's first Inter season, where it was decided by 1 point. Since then, it mainly every season has been a blowout for a Serie A title
true.
title race. So yeah, this one's going to be really interesting. But even more interesting is that top 4 race.
What happens if it goes down to the playoff game, let's say, and like Lukaku scores final minute and
he hits you with this.
and Conte starts doing the Jose Mourinho around the San
Oh
Siro.
my
That it just
Lord.
put on the B team and focus on Champions League. Bigger fish to fry. As I
No,
like
no,
to
it's
say.
the last minute. And
Like,
Lautaro
he just
already
w-
played 95 minutes.
He just dunked on you, basically.
What the verdeck? I may actually walk out of the room for that one.
Wait, that might be a live stream.
I would need a minute. I would need a minute. Oh my god. I don't even want to think
After the
about it.
most boring 0-0 game, that it's a classic Conte performance, and Lukaku
penalties.
scores in the 95th minute.
Usually what happens in these crunch time moments is Lukaku gets in front of his. He ends up being the best defender.
Actually, they actually draw, and we end up going to extra time. So you play an extra 30 minutes too, right before the CL final.
This is crazy.
While PSG played their fucking C team versus
No.
Strasbourg.
Andre Santos.
Yeah, that would suck. But
It's lining up to be a good last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really
And-
for both leagues, Premier League and Serie A.
yeah, it's getting. And the thing is that it's not like the big teams are facing smaller teams. All the big teams are kind of facing each other. Like today, as of recording, it's Roma Atalanta, which has big implications to the top
top
four.
four.
And then Inter Lazio, which have big implications.
Milan Roma after.
Milan Roma after. So
Roma, I need a win.
if Roma
I'm
makes
really
Champions League-
hoping Roma make Champions League over
I'd be
Juve.
happy with that,
I'd
too.
be so happy, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine Palace face when they sell Yildiz for 35 mil.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Yeah. The
add
top
that
four
to
is
the menu,
good.
bro.
Yeah, but I think
Went from Tonali Osimhen to, you're going to get this fucking Chico Conceição and for
Yildiz
for confirm-
Chelsea.
You gotta pay for Chico Conceição, okay, Yildiz. Gotta let you go, bro.
Gotta let you go. But I
Gotta
think
play for Nico
Juve is
Gonzalez.
playing Udinese in Venezia. So bro,
If
you need to win.
Venezia, can you do something? for me?
Venezia, Gianluca Buzzi, I'm looking at you, my brother.
Need you to do something.
I need
for
you to
us,
do
bro.
something.
Fra, I need you to do
Tamo.
something.
I think they got it, but
So who do you think ends up making Champions League?
Roma.
I don't want to jinx.
I want Roma to make it.
Roma I'd
if
love.
Roma makes
Ranieri
Champions League,
deserves it.
Ranieri coach of the season. Not even a debate.
I
I think he wins it regardless.
might just win it regardless, unless you give it to Conte.
Fabregas linked to Roma.
That would do numbers.
That's a great fit.
Yeah. Then you sell out an Olympic.
And then Davide Ancelotti.
Who?
Davide Ancelotti to Como, supposedly.
Who's David Ancelotti?
Ancelotti's son.
He
He's
plays
the assistant coach for Real Madrid.
for real?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Is he good? What's the vibes?
Yeah, we don't know.
We don't know.
Lord knows.
Nepotism.
But you know
manager.
who wasn't good in the El Clasico?
Gulp.
Real Madrid, which even with an Mbappe hat trick, they were not able to win.
Did you see every single? Well, no, it's a kind of a fake stat because Guirassy won the game but lost the tie, so it's whatever. It's a Barca fake stat, obviously.
Won the game but lost it. Oh,
So every single time someone's gotten a hat trick against Barcelona this season, they ended up losing the game.
crazy work.
You score 3, we score 4, bro. That's literally
Honestly,
what happened.
this game was crazy.
I didn't get to watch. I was eating breakfast.
Oh,
with my-
okay.
I
So
was-
we got to give you the rundown.
I
bro.
was- you down, my brother.
I was at brunch for Mother's Day.
So here's what happened. Game started. The Barcelona Highline was playing the gimmick. You know what I mean? Mbappe 2 goals off the
Off the
what is it,
rip,
10
basically.
minutes.
Yeah.
Crazy. You would think Real Madrid had this.
Barbara Bernat texted me because me and Barbara Bernat still had a bet going because Inter beat
You
Barcelona.
texted us
Okay,
too.
okay. This is the problem. We were walking back from Box2Box HQ, and Barbara Bernat's next door. So then we're like, okay, let's go say bye to Bernat. Call it a day. So we literally just walked in, wanted to say bye. Came out of there. Varvar has 6 haircuts on the line because El Clasico has
So
it.
he already owed me 3 haircuts because Inter beat Barca and he went all in basically on that game. So it didn't end up well for Barbara Bernat. And I'm like, you know what, Bernat? I was rage baiting him a bit. I'm like, Barcelona's gonna beat Real Madrid. So like, why don't we just do double or nothing?
Just
He's
for
like,
you, my friend.
Oh, thank you, bro. Thank you, bro. Thank you. Like you bail me out like this. And then it's 2-0. And then I text him, I'm like, not looking good, mi hermano, not looking good. And then, that's just a Varvar jinx, bro.
Yeah, unreal. And you even texted the group chat. I forget what you said, but you're like, what did you text?
I'll find it. But I also texted the Discord. I was
Texted
like-
everyone at that moment.
I said,
That's an unreal Varvar
Spraying
jinx.
the block.
and you see, as soon as I texted, we are La Liga winners in the Discord, all the Real Madrid fans started fucking freaking out. They're
Blaming.
like, no, we're going to lose now. And then they actually did.
Yeah, no, but when they went up 2-0, brother, this is like the third game in a row or something for
Yeah.
Barcelona to go down fourth game in a row, they went down and had to come back. So first like Inter, Leganes, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Then Inter again, then Real.
Crazy.
So both times. So now again 2-0, and as an Interista, I knew.
I texted the group chat.
I knew that.
I just remember what you texted.
Obviously, we don't live stream the one time Real Madrid win.
Yeah.
And then
and then I'm like, Barca's not coming back, right? 2-1, right? 2-2.
Bro, it was like a minute or two apart too.
Yeah.
They scored.
Yeah.
Real Madrid, first off, we just have to say Real Madrid had a worse defensive performance than Barcelona. And do you know how hard? I find that is extremely difficult to do.
Well, bro, all their center backs are injured. They have no full backs. This was insanely bad squad building this year.
This
by
was
Real.
atrocious.
Really was.
Misses
But then,
everywhere.
So then before we started this podcast, we were talking about Rodrigo not starting that game, and you were saying, "Oh, thank God
They
Rodrigo
scored
didn't
3
start."
goals, bro. What the fuck?
They
does
still
Rodrigo-
scored, yes, but
Mbappe
brother,
hat-trick.
they still. The problem is the defense at Real Madrid.
Yes,
It's
I'm not
the
saying, but
Rodrigo.
that doesn't mean that the decision of not playing Rodrigo wasn't justified.
Why?
Bro, you think Rodrigo, they win this game if Rodrigo plays?
Mbappe still scores 3.
No, that's not how it works because Mbappe didn't score 3 when Rodrigo played. So that's not how it works.
Mbappe
bro.
has scored 3 with Rodrigo playing.
Not against Real Madrid, not against Barcelona.
Man City.
Every time Barcelona play, they've low-key shot the bed this year. Real Madrid.
Who?
Oh yeah.
Real Madrid,
yeah.
offensively
yeah.
even, not just defensive.
Oh.
Defensively, they've always shot the bed. It's offensively they've always.
But that goes back to my point. Defensively, this team is not set up right.
This was the best performance against Barcelona this year by Real Madrid, and that's not a good thing to say.
That isn't a good thing
but,
to say.
But this was the best one, so I can't like.
Bro, best. It's just a performance. It's not
Yeah.
best. There's no best out of the.
But it
crop.
was the least worst.
Brother. If there's
Skating a crazy.
there's no best rotten apple. If
But
you have
look,
3 rotten apples, there's
they're
no
all
best.
rotten.
I
rotten
think I
apple.
speak for all Real Madrid fans when I say Rodrigo needs to get out of the club.
Rodrigo is not the problem here.
I'm not
think-
saying he's the sole problem, but I'm saying if you, Xabi Alonso's coming in,
Gone.
Rodrigo out, Verts in, no mistake about it. Like, do not even think about it. That's
more-
the
the more I
most
think
clear
about it-
upgrade of all time.
What?
The more I think about it, it's like, listen, Rodrigo, you could invest elsewhere. You could distribute funds elsewhere.
It really
Get rid of him.
it depends on Real Madrid's financial situation. If you're telling me that they can't afford anybody if they don't sell Rodrigo, then we have a separate
I'm
issue.
saying even if you have $1 trillion to spend this summer,
Why the
you
fuck would you sell Rodrigo?
You
Why?
still sell Rodrigo
There's no
because you
reason
can go
to.
and get a Verts.
But if you could keep Rodrigo and also get a Wirtz, then just do that.
Then Rodrigo's playing 20 minutes next year, and then he sold for 20 shekels to West Ham.
I think he gets 20 shekels now, bro, because he didn't.
No,
get
he's
0
80
minutes.
mil. Man City are heavily linked. There's other Liverpool also are kind of interested. There's always that Al Hilal. You could always send them to
It's
Al
always
Hilal.
lurking.
It's just complete mismanagement of a front 3 that should have been the best in the world, and we all spoke about it. We've always said it on the podcast.
But look,
like,
it's not the
how are they
front
going to
3.
manage with 3 world-class
But look,
players?
when Ronaldo joined that first, also it took a bit of time to change the squad to maximize Ronaldo. So give him time. Next year, bro, Trent playing a high line against Barca with Trent and Mbappe in behind.
Now you're cooking.
Barca.
We'll see.
That's gonna be 7 on Barca's dome.
Yeah, I know, but
Until they score
Mbappe
8.
practically had 7.
No?
Mbappe practically had like 6 goals this game.
Mbappe-
like 3 offsides or 2 offsides.
Did you see that big miss after the 3 goals? He could have legit had 4.
Well, no, there was the one-on-one.
Yeah, the one-on-one.
The
where
one-on-one, and he hit it too early.
Moon-
He hit it too early.
Yeah.
Like, he was way far out. He was far out, and he had space to
Yeah.
dribble, but he just went for the shot. Yeah, that was pretty bad.
The
also-
Munoz miss, the sub guy.
brother.
That was horrendous.
Brother, what's crazy to me is that they literally subbed off Vinicius Jr. in
Yeah.
the 80th minute for basically a La Fabrica player, and then his
Did not
literal
work out.
first touch of the game should have been a goal, and it was a complete miss, and that's the Vinny replacement.
You see, the Real Madrid La Fabrica player had to close his comment section. 'Cause
Yeah.
he was getting ripped too much.
bro, it was
Poor guy. It's a really
terrifying.
bad miss. Like really, really
It's
bad.
terrifying. But yeah, you came out for Vinny. Vinny scores that, and you came on and first shot of the game, and you whiffed to tie the game. And then Mbappe scored off the corner, but then it ended up being a foul or an offside or something crazy like that. Again, like
You see the clip of the
so many
VAR room
offsides.
saying "Thank God."
yeah, the
That's funny.
Fermin, Fermin, what a goal that would have
Yeah,
been.
that was a nice
Bro.
goal.
I look.
Valverde got
I
rinsed.
admitted I was wrong, but Fermin, what a player.
Que jugador.
At first, I wasn't sold, but I've since retracted my statement.
He's the classic La Masia player that you
No,
kind
that's
of.
not a classic, bro.
What do you mean?
It's not classic.
Classic meaning good.
This guy's fucking.
He's
No, but he's
sick.
not.
He's
He's not a
amazing.
regular player, bro.
That's what Chico
No, but-
Conceição thinks he is.
No.
You understand?
Chico
Yes.
Conceição has no
No.
business being.
That,
in
but
this
that's what I'm saying.
conversation.
That Chico Conceição, that he tries to play like
No, if
Fermin
he joined
and
Juve,
gets
if
cooked.
Fermin joined Juve, Paolo would be sitting here saying this is fucking
The best
Zidane
signing.
reincarnated.
But what an absolute player. Valverde got thrown into a laundry machine.
Yeah, he looked injured as well at one point.
Now, Arsenal, hear me out. Odegaard, fucking
Dip.
back to Norway, sell him to fucking Djurgården or some shit.
You get Fermi Lopez.
Get Fermin Lopez. Who says no?
Yeah. Yeah,
Fermin
Dani,
Fermin Lopez.
Dani Olmo did not have a good game again. And when Fermin Lopez came in, he looked more lively. So
Yeah.
Barcelona played. Listen, defensively, once again, there's too many mistakes, but they played well in attack. Lamine Yamal looked like the best player on the pitch as per usual.
Does Barcelona go in next season with Inigo Martinez still at the back or no?
I think it
Ideally
would be
not.
nice to get an upgrade.
Yeah, ideally not.
Like Barcelona this summer is a tricky team because one, we're not even sure if they have money to spend.
Yeah, no
Like
idea.
it would not surprise me if Barcelona went to spend 200 million this summer, or they said, "Yeah, we're broke, we can't spend anything." So you can't even rule anything out. But like, let's say they did have a bit of money, which players would you sign?
Center backs.
But which player? Like you have an idea of which? I think it needs to be like a. This is just you wouldn't be able to get him, but like a Konate type for me. It would need
Like
to
strong,
be like
physical.
Yes, play a high line,
Like an
fast.
anchor in the back.
You need a fast one. I
Yes.
do agree with that. I don't know.
Barcelona, so he needs to be comfortable on the ball.
Oh, 100%.
Then you basically just sign Araujo if he's not comfortable on the ball.
They said Bastoni fits their profile.
Bro, Pazzoni fits the profile of every fucking
every
club
single
in
club
world
ever in
football, bro.
history.
He's not that fast, though.
Yeah, well, he's not slow.
He's not slow, but he's not fast.
I mean, I think you could sacrifice a bit of speed for everything else he offers.
Yeah, Kubarsi was
I think that tie really opened people's eyes that Kubarsi fully formed is just Bastoni.
But
That's still a very good player.
Kubarsi,
That's
I
the
don't think
comp,
he had a
I'd
great
say.
game. He
Who?
did not. Kubarsi
Kubarsi was the
Inter,
worst
or
player on
He
the
did
pitch
not have
for
a
the
great
team.
game
Yeah.
at all.
Was not that
Forget
good.
Barcelona, Inter. I'm talking about Barcelona.
But
Real.
Barcelona defensively have had the worst. Like people don't like to speak about it, bro. I'm gonna read you off how many goals they've allowed this last month. Okay, you're gonna be flabbergasted.
Oh, brother,
as to
they've
how
conceded,
bad
they've conceded like
they
maybe
allowed
30.
3 against Real Madrid, 4 against Inter, 1 against Valladolid, 3 against Inter, 2 Real Madrid, 3 Celta Vigo, 3 Dortmund. Like trash.
It's a lot of defensive mistakes. It's probably the high line that's working against them sometimes when like a Balde gets injured or Kunde gets injured. You got to play like a Gerard Martin, who I don't know how that brother is even part of this Barcelona squad. Like
Hector Fort.
Hector Fort as well. Like these brothers cannot pass the ball. Like okay, Martin got the 2 assists against Inter,
Eric
but
Garcia even scored. He even scored.
Eric
against Real
Garcia is all right as a sub.
Madrid. Yeah, as a sub.
That's like Eric Garcia basically needs to be their fucking Jesus Vallejo. It's literally
Someone always needs him.
your emergency player.
Yeah,
But
definitely squad
Barca
depth.
are lucky that Lamine Yamal exists. That what's his name? What's the
Hustle Hard 3 or
Hustle
4?
Hard. They're lucky that Hustle Hard 17 years ago 17 years ago decided that tonight's the night.
Tonight's the night indeed.
Because that night created
Greatness.
Generational.
greatness. Honestly,
Greatness.
like
This guy's on a different planet, man.
hustle hard, bro. You might
He
just,
was hustling
you
hard
might,
that
you
night
might need to
17 years
bottle
ago,
up
bro.
some of that. Send it to me because you're working with some good shit in
that
there,
is crazy.
What the fuck did you
fuck you gonna do with that?
bro. That shit.
Bro, what's the plan
Well,
here?
I'm gonna create greatness with that shit.
You? What do you mean you?
Well, me, I don't know me, but we're on Project Yamal, bro, and I'm trying to give myself the best odds possible, bro.
I don't think that's how it works.
Yeah.
I don't think that's.
Not sure how that works.
Unless you have something to tell us.
It's crazy.
But Mr. Hustle Hard, you've worked, you've done an
you've worked
amazing
your
job.
magic.
Real Madrid fan, by the way, Mr. Hustle Hard. So
He
obviously,
did admit that.
it would only like Barcelona, only a Madridista could create such a fine individual. So,
Crazy. But I mean, on the topic of Lamine Yamal, do we consider him now the Ballon d'Or leader?
obviously,
Yeah.
obviously,
Yeah.
no,
I think so.
and I said this months ago. Oracle shit. Once again, how many times am I going to be proven right this podcast?
Let's hear this oracle.
Rafinha was never the Ballon d'Or leader. He never deserved
Hey,
to
literally
be
he
the
led
Ballon
the
d'Or.
Ballon d'Or.
He never deserved to be the Ballon d'Or leader. It was always Lamine Yamal's team, and I've said this from the start. Lamine Yamal's the special one. Rafinha is just a very good player.
Rafinha has had a world-class season.
Yes. But Lamine Yamal is a better player in the same team. Once again, when I spoke about Inzaghi, when he game planned for this game, it wasn't Rafinha. It was how the fuck do we stop Lamine Yamal?
I agree. Nobody in this room has ever argued that Yamal is not a better player than Rafinha. He is. But the season that Rafinha has had,
No.
you need to credit him.
Yes, credit
Yes.
him. Give him a team of the year spot. Gary, you had a good season, bro.
He deserves Team of the Year.
I agree.
And I think right now, obviously, after seeing the Inter game, although they did lose, Yamal was the main man. After seeing this Real Madrid game, Yamal was the main man again.
Even Rafinha did score.
Yeah,
Scored
Rafinha
two,
did
I'm
score.
pretty Sure.
Uh,
He scored 2?
Yeah, he scored
2 and an assist, I think.
He scored
So
2.
it's a great game.
Still, he's still performing. That's what I'm telling you. Rafinha is still performing.
Yes,
but
but
Yamal
not a
is obviously
Ballon
the
d'Or
better
winner.
player.
Not a Ballon d'Or winner. It would be the biggest scam of all time if Rafinha won the Ballon d'Or this year.
I think for the public, if Yamal wins it, it's more acceptable.
Yes.
Because obviously Rafinha, like, there's always that connotation, like, oh, he came from Leeds, he was a bust there, like, whatever.
You know the aura Lamine Yamal has right now, bro?
Yamal has the
Bro.
streets.
Travis Scott, now officially the only football player in the world that he follows. Doesn't follow Messi, doesn't follow Ronaldo, he follows Lamine Yamal.
See his reactions?
Yeah.
He's freaking out.
That's kind of a forced reaction, bro.
But aura.
But you see, that's a real cooler.
That's a real cooler right
Oh,
there.
no.
That's a real cooler.
Forced,
It's
but
like
he's a
me
real cooler.
Interisto. Like it's like that's a real Interisto.
Real.
You can't fake that reaction.
No, you really can't.
Yeah, no.
And even you got Thierry Henry starstruck, exchanging shirts with Lamine Yamal, the 17-year-old.
He did say after the first leg that he was gonna give
Do
him
it?
the shirt. Yeah. So
Take
yeah,
out the streets.
definitely. I think Lamine Yamal is definitely the front runner. I
So-
don't see another player right now at that level.
So I guess like we discount, like, if PSG wins the Champions League,
I don't give a fuck.
discount.
Honestly, I saw something that the last couple Ballon d'Or winners aren't even Champions League winners.
No.
They haven't even won the
Rodri
Champions
didn't
League.
Bro,
win.
it's a Barca Real Madrid award. We have to fucking preface this. It's
Bro, you're
only-
acting like Barcelona didn't have an amazing season though.
No, I agree, but that's what I'm saying. If Barcelona or Real Madrid have shit seasons, then they start giving it out. If they have shit seasons, then they give it out to a Rodri. They give it out to other people that. If Barca or
No,
Real
Real Madrid did a double last year when Rodri won. Real Madrid did a double.
Yeah, but they like.
It's just because the Euros took precedent.
Yeah, I don't know how. Rodri wasn't even the best player at the Euros. Lamine Yamal was the best player at the Euros. Also, that's a whole other.
He did win. He won a young player of the
Yes,
tournament.
but he should have won player. Of the
He
tournament.
could have. Yeah, he could
But
have.
whatever. Last year, low key, Yamal had a better reason to win the Ballon d'Or than Rodri, but that's okay. Also,
Well, now if they do win the league, that's a domestic
bro,
trouble.
I'm top Yamal Glazer. Yeah, that's
Number
what you
one.
guys have to understand.
Overglazed, underglazed.
Like,
I'm number
no
one.
limit to the glaze.
Bro, if there's one Glazer in the world, I'm like, if there's one person left on earth like that needs to be Yamal Glazer, I'm that man.
Wearing,
Bro, you just
wearing the
asked his
Madrid kit.
father to
I
send him a
need
shipment.
that. I
you know how
need
insane that is?
that.
You know how insane that glaze is? You know
Hustle hard, please, bro. Please.
With the Real Madrid kit is crazy,
Hustle
man.
hard, bro.
Someone stop
One
this guy.
Madridista to another, bro. I need it.
That's
I need it.
pro.
I don't know, bro.
But anyways, Ancelotti to Brazil just got
Yeah.
announced.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, nice little switch.
Perfect timing.
Cheeky little switch.
Honestly, and they fired. I'm pretty sure they fired the head of like the Brazilian Federation. I think Naldo. I think he got fired.
Oh my god, they fired everyone.
What a game.
Clean
Yeah.
house.
Well, bro, they need to clean house.
They do need to. That's what Italy
'Cause-
needs to do.
Yes, I agree. But yeah, I mean, I personally don't see them competing. Producer T, you good?
Tea?
You good? You want
Making
some
an
water?
appearance?
Speaking about Ancelotti, got him all
Yeah.
Choked up.
But I personally think this doesn't close the gap between them and Argentina. Personally,
No.
It does help though.
it helps.
I
Definitely.
think it's more the quality of the team has not been that good. Brazil has not been producing top level talent.
you know you're gonna maximize Vinicius now with Ancelotti there. Like
will
now,
help.
Vinicius doesn't have an excuse.
No,
Agreed.
and there's really no other player to outshine him like what happened at Real Madrid. Now it's kind of like Vinny's.
Yeah.
star.
Is
Like,
this the first ever manager for Brazil that's not Brazilian?
I can't remember off the top of my head, but I'm sure there's maybe one. There's no way. There's no way.
I think potentially one of the managers that Pele won a World Cup with was not Brazilian, if I'm not mistaken. No, Brazil has never had a national team manager who was not Brazilian. So this is
Wow.
the first ever.
So they're taking a different route, which
Yes.
I like because all their players are basically playing in Europe. It fits the Ancelotti type of playing. I feel like having a Brazilian manager, yes, it's easier to communicate. It's easier to have that culture. But if the players are all in Europe, the standards are a bit different.
I think it's a very dinosaur way of thinking that you need a Brazilian manager. Because nowadays, bro, the Brazil national team, all those players play in Spain. Like
That's what I'm saying.
You can get
That's
a manager
why-
that just speaks Spanish and it works fine. You know?
Exactly.
Maybe it's a bit tougher working with the staff because maybe the staff don't speak
Yeah.
all
If
If he
these
brings in his own
languages.
staff, then maybe.
But like it's the same thing as Tuchel for England. Like Tuchel speaks English. There should be
He'll
no
make it
issue.
work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So
It's a
Italy,
job.
the issue with Italy is that a lot of our players just speak Italian and a lot of our staff just speak Italian. And it's not a common language.
But I also don't think that Italy have a reason to look for another nationality manager
Agreed.
because we have a very good
Yes.
crop of managers. So I think we kind of get a pass. I think Germany gets a pass.
But like
Spain
let's say
gets a pass.
if Italy we're not able to get a Conte or a top level Italian manager, I think you're better off getting a Tuchel than let's just use this.
Yeah,
as
you
an
never
example,
know.
a Paladino or something.
Yeah, like if
You
we-
never know because look at Spain with De La Fuente. They went and got a
yeah, but De La
homegrown
Fuente,
manager.
bro, De La Fuente dominated U21s.
But exactly,
level.
I'm sure there's a U21 manager that
For Italy,
Italian.
fucking ass.
What do you mean?
I don't
Or
know
you
who it
wouldn't
is.
even know.
I don't know. I don't know.
Hey, because that's why I don't know because they're probably fucking ass.
Oh, I forgot his name. No, they made it to a Euro final.
Yeah.
But then we got dominated.
Okay, but
made it to Euro final.
like there are managers, even lower level managers in Italy that are still good. Like
Yeah, there are good managers, but I do think that the crop that we have that could be available, we're okay.
yeah,
How do we
we
link
don't
this
get-
back to Italy?
I don't know. I guess we're Italian.
But
But Ancelotti,
Yeah.
would have been nice for him to coach the Italian national team at a certain point. I find it would have been cool, but I mean,
I think this fits perfect. He's finding faces that at Real Madrid he's seen a lot. He's coached. He's also a manager that's able to bring people together. You could argue his tactics aren't that good, but
And
he's never been a tactical manager.
but national team football,
Exactly,
I
you
think
don't
is
even
not
need that.
necessarily tactically
Yeah.
focused.
And I think this is also a good appointment for someone like Neymar, because like if you were to go, let's say, get a player, coach like Thomas Tuchel, just for an example, he demands a lot of running, he demands a lot of defensive work. Ancelotti, he kind of fits his system to his players. So a player like Neymar is going to be able to still get called up under Ancelotti.
That is true.
And he's good at managing older players too. You saw with like Modric how he's able to keep him going for Modric's still 40 or 41 years old. Like he's still able to play top level football. So I think even for a Neymar, which I'm happy, I want to see Neymar still play on the top
Would be
level.
nice.
So I definitely think it's a good move. And
Ancelotti to lift the fifth World Cup for Brazil
No.
over Italy.
bro, Brazil's not even a contender
Six-
for next World
six
Cup.
World-
6? They have 5 already?
Yeah.
Oh, tabarnak.
They're not even a contender for.
I don't
next
think they
World Cup.
touch. They're going to be at 5 for a long time.
Yes,
They are going to be 5.
they need an overhaul. When your domestic league is so poor, it's very difficult to like consistently.
It depends. It depends because like you see like a Portugal or a Netherlands or that aren't necessarily at.
But
like,
they're not. They're, not
good-
even
they're
coming
good leagues.
close to World Cups.
Yes, but they are competitive on the European.
But
stage.
Netherlands was only competitive on the European stage when their league was somewhat good.
Yeah, but I think
does
their
help.
players are also at a level where they could be playing at a top European. Like Brazil, like they have this idea that they have to be playing players from the Brazilian Serie A. Like the quality just isn't there. The quality is not there at all. So if you're able to get Brazilians from Europe, that should be the squad.
Yeah.
It really doesn't matter if they play in Brazilian Serie A because it's not doing you any favors. It really isn't. You're giving players some Brazilian national team minutes, but brother, they're not national team level
True.
in the grand scheme of things. So, yeah, I don't know.
But it's tough because you have such a shit crop of defenders and
Oh, terrible. Well, you're still starting Marquinhos.
and Brazilian midfielders have fallen off severely.
That's what's bad.
Yeah, like they speak about
Paquetá.
Bruno Guimaraes as if he's like the second
Guimaraes,
coming of
yeah.
Jesus.
They're starting
Christ.
like Andre, who's a good player, but like you're Brazil. I'd hope
you had legendary players.
like Andre doesn't even come close to making like a English team or
No,
like
I don't
a
think so.
Spanish team. Like
Shouldn't be starting for.
And you go back like
Senegal.
maybe 5 years ago and you had Luis Gustavo. Like the
Yeah.
crop of players just has not been good.
it
in
was
the past 10
literally
years.
just Casemiro carry job
Yeah.
and Fabinho when he was decent. Like, but there's never been. You go back 20 years, bro. Brazilian midfielders were like the creme de la creme.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were elite.
Yeah.
They were elite. But I mean, with Ancelotti gone now to the Brazil team, that means that a Real Madrid spot is open. And after months of speculation, Xabi Alonso is now the new manager of Real Madrid, confirmado oficial. Gentlemen, do you think this is the move that'll change Real Madrid's fortunes?
Yes.
Yes.
I think next year, Real Madrid will be winning La Liga, personally. If they came so close this year with a horrible Real Madrid team, with Xabi Alonso, I'm expecting to win the league by at least like 5, 6, 7 points.
I don't
Guaranteed.
I don't think it was easily at like the second place was a very tough second place for Real Madrid. They dropped a lot of points.
This year, with this generational Barca team, it came down to the final 3 games of the season to determine who won La Liga.
I know, but Barcelona have also dominantly beat them in Supercopa.
Yes,
Dominantly won
so
Copa del Rey.
it's not like it can get worse. They can only take more points off of Barcelona next year.
You also have to you have to count that Xabi Alonso is coming in with probably a 3-back formation, so that's gonna take time to build. You need some wing backs. There needs to be a total rebuild in the back.
You're not just getting any regular wing back too. You're getting Trent Alexander-Arnold. That's at least Mbappe will score next year minimum 40 goals. Minimum. That's
he's almost
conservative.
done it. He's
Yeah,
almost done it.
exactly. That's like conservative. I'm being generous.
That's being very generous.
But-
And out in the quarterfinals of Champions League too. You're not counting a full round of semis. You're not counting maybe a final even. But boss, they need a completely new backline.
Yeah.
That backline is just completely
Well,
destroyed.
no, I think you could still depend on like a Rudiger, maybe a Raul Asensio. You can still count on.
You
At their
still
minimum.
need
about it.
3 starting center backs plus backups. They're barely putting out 2 right now. So they're going to need to make some heavy investments there. I know you mentioned even bring Wirtz from Bayer Leverkusen, sell Rodrigo, bring Wirtz in. That could change a lot. And then I don't know. This is going to be a very, very big job for Xabi Alonso. But if there's one person that could do it, I find that from the available crop, I do think it's him.
Yeah. He's had the experience at Leverkusen. He's built them into a big club in Germany, and he's played at Real Madrid before, so he knows the culture. The only thing is, does he know how to manage these world-class players? He's brought up Wirtz. He's brought up a couple of very good players at Leverkusen, but I don't know. We'll see if he can manage a Vini and Mbappe, because that's always a big issue.
This is a different crop of players.
Different type, yeah.
Yeah.
But Xabi Alonso has that aura that you can.
He looks like he's a very respected manager, at least.
But you have that aura until you start losing games, until you start not getting results. Because Ancelotti, you could argue at the beginning of the season, this man, brother, we even talked about manager. We ranked the managers. We put him at 10 aura, and now he's getting sacked after Barcelona games.
But that's because Ancelotti has dinosaur tactics. Like they're outdated tactics.
Yeah, I get it. I think Xabi Alonso is going to do pretty well. But I do think he needs time because I don't think the results are going to come early.
Yeah.
It will take time.
Yeah,
We'll see.
It does help when you have the best goalie in the world, best striker in the world. You'll have the best.
You're adding the best
fullback.
right back in the world.
Yeah, I don't know. You have good pieces, but we'll see what he
Good
does.
pieces, but it's up to him to put them together.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's about it for episode 57, I'd say.
I thought that was a pretty healthy episode, I think.
Pretty healthy.
So how long was that episode?
2 hours.
2 horas.
Just for you, my friends.
Puta madre.
You
A lot to
guys,
cover.
yeah,
This weekend was lit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot happening, and honestly, it hasn't even stopped. We have two more, pretty much match weeks left.
True.
Then the
Let's see how
CL
fun.
final.
Oh my God.
Extravaganza, bonanza coming up.
Extravaganza bonanzas everywhere.
And we're planning a Champions League watch along potentially.
Yeah.
More details
We'll
to
see
come.
about
More
that.
details to come.
Well, we're definitely gonna be streaming the Champions.
Oh
League
yeah,
final,
no.
so-
Yeah.
We're not taking a break on that day. Don't worry.
Yeah.
For sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely. But anyways,
Thank
see
you everyone
guys-
for watching.
See you guys next time.
Yeah.
Peace out.
Ciao.